shit.
Yeah.
And then everything else just kind of trickles on into that.
I know he was hot about it, but we're back here live for the Monday Locker Room, Infidels, twitch.tv/conspiracy horseman. And if I were president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, and then it's back to work on Monday, Infidels. That's right. We're about to put in work here on your Labor Day weekend. So kick back and get ready to, check your neck because you might be concussed if you're watching this at work today here on your Monday Locker Room, Infidels. YOLO! Yes, we're back. No days off at Hameen Media Group, Infidels. In fact, there are no days. Really, there's only life, and it's a constant cycle. And we'll see if we get the run-in from our man, Dr. Ted. But if not, we'll go two-man booth. Oh, I get right on time. He's calling. He's right in there in the spot. When you say his name, he hits the room with the run-in. But first off, it's RVD, Mr. Labor Day, doing some real big barbecuing today. I'm sure we'll have the foodie picks out soon. RBV, good morning, buddy.
How about we open up with a little Labor Day treat? It's me. It's that order, the beat of the V. Richard Bronson Vickery. Hey, on day 4 of living that redneck dream, racing and wrestling. And I'm wrapping it up right here with the two best pros in the business, Monday Locker Room style.
We've been having great conversations, man. I love that living the redneck dream between high-octane wrestling and high-octane fuel and cars going around, man. You're definitely right in the sports entertainment realm for sure, dude. So keep kicking ass that way. And get a couple of reps in so you can balance out some of the racetrack food. We want to keep around for as long as we can and be healthy, wealthy, and wise, man.
I was going to say, I've been putting down my fair share of those track dogs, but I'm starting to mix in some more salads. So it's
that's good. I did triple salads this week. Holy shit! I wanted tacos twice, and I settled for salad. It was a brutal, pill to swallow. I could be eating tacos right now, but instead I got to choke this down. But I guess enough ranch dressing and anything will taste okay, man. So as he gets set up, we'll bring him on in just a minute here. But Dr. Ted is joining us. He probably had some early patients to have them turn their heads and cough, just because he likes to start the day off that way with a good nut check, make sure everything's going on properly. How are mine? How are mine this morning? Do I have a hernia or how my balls feel?
I mean, Ben, your balls are going to feel a whole lot different here. Actually, I was working on a special project that, I'm going to wait at the end of this episode, so be sure to tune in at the end. I have a special presentation for you, Ben Hameen, and I want you to know that this is all out of love, and this is all going to be to help you. Your life is going to be changed today, Ben Hameen, and I have something very special for you at the end of today's special Labor Day edition of Monday Locker Room.
Okay. All right. I look forward to the go home, then. I don't got to pull the main event. So Dr. Ted with some new stuff for us here today on your Monday Locker Room exclusive. Only here. So looking forward to it, man. Did you have a good weekend, bud? RBV was saying some shit got cray-cray down there. I want to punch him for saying cray-cray. I'll slap myself now. Things got crazy down there.
Does that mean I can bring Shar back?
I know.
Yeah,
that's exactly why.
Yeah, Derby Day. I stayed my ass at home, so I was not anywhere near any of the craziness. However, I know one of my good buddies who's a journalist down here. He works for one of the local news stations. He was supposed to be covering the races for Derby Day and couldn't even get to Churchill Downs for like a couple of hours because of a hostage situation that was going on with all the craziness and marching and rioting and everything that was going on around there. So I think it ended up, they cleared out without any huge, news or things happening. I think the hostage situation was resolved, but still it's a lot of craziness going around here. That's for sure. And, I guess the world of wrestling is just as crazy too. So I can't really say too much, but it is what it is. The world's just gone crazy, and we're here to cover it all as everything burns.
Ooh, baby, I'm a wild one. Yeah, man, it is insane where we still try and get our bread and circuses of the Kentucky Derby, which was a shadow of what you and I know it as. You know what I mean? Is a major event that brings millions and millions of dollars to the city. Plus, they're obviously still in their crazy race war, and the wives got out of there this morning at 6 a.m. bright and early. I mean, they said hostage situation. I was like, that's my girls. You know what I mean? They know what's going on. They move quickly. We took a horse hostage, and we got a good ransom for it. That's what the winner was going to run, but I said, no, you're not running nothing until we get our payday. So it was good for us. I mean, I didn't have to place any bets, and I came up $1.5 million ahead. So I'm feeling good about myself. And we bet on some other horses that didn't place, but some horses are easier to capture than others. I mean, we were hoping to get 2 or 3, but we got 1 out of the gate, and a good payday for everybody around there, man. No doubt about it. But the things are just going to continue to trickle down to crazy as we approach. We're 2 days away from what should be the Hillary Clinton email and leaked files and all that shit, man. And now they're saying she doesn't have to testify, and she tried to put out some babyface promo shit over the weekend with Bill sitting over her shoulder, and they just come off like old, out of touch grandparents cunting off about things they have no idea about, yet they still want to rule your life, my life, and everything that's going on. I just really hope they're burned at the stake and we get to watch it on pay-per-view. Just some real medieval shit that happens to them, because they are completely in disservice of it. And we'll see, man, 2 days away what they're going to try and pull. And, block is hot in Kentucky. I'm sure that's going to spin out to everywhere, man. So we appreciate everybody down there who's our listener being safe. And, don't amp it up if you don't need to. But don't go out and put yourself in a situation just to try and get yourself over when you could end up losing your life. That's fucking foolish to me. But yeah, man, big week ahead here. It's Switch 'em Up September. Today's the last day, the final day for the 5-star star search. We've got a lot of submissions we got to go through and narrow that down to 5. And then we're going to put them out there for you guys to listen to. And then probably next week we'll start the voting process on that. So thank you to everybody who's been looking to become a Hameen Media Group affiliate. You're going to get the benefit of 30 years of hard work and being able to use our contacts by joining the crew already and getting your show out there. So I'm excited to see or listen to all the submissions that we have, and eventually bringing on somebody into the Hameen Media Group that is going to have a big audience to appeal to, man. So very cool. Thanks for everybody who has submitted and has been participating. Chat rooms and online was great this weekend with AEW and UFC. Even UFC getting mad fights canceled with COVID. I mean, seems like every event they have, the card gets fucking rocked. But what else went on Friday Night SmackDown? I can't even remember back, to be honest. Yeah, it's been such a goddamn blur. I beat Sideburns in golf. That was another big win. And now we're back in the saddle again for your Monday locker room, infidels. And, back in the saddle means one thing on Monday mornings. The way to kick it off, the only thing that we're really here for is your Monday morning monologue, Daddy. And it's Dr. Gimmicks ready to deliver.
That's right.
Prescription.
I live for shitty jokes, and I hope you do too, because it is your Monday morning monologue, Labor Day edition. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's go ahead and get into the headlines. According to Alex McCarthy of TalkSport, Vince McMahon asked Randy Orton to make Keith Lee a star during their Payback match. Imagine how high Vince has to be on someone to have Randy Orton put them over clean as a whistle. The site also notes that McMahon's plans are to push Lee to the moon on the main roster. Hopefully that does not mean he will be given a Moon Man gimmick, as that would be a waste of space. Hey, listen, Keith Lee has shown that he will wear whatever gear they give him, so maybe he could put on a spacesuit and rock it. No, I'm not sure about a moon gimmick, but maybe a skydiver gimmick. It would be a little bit more down to earth, at least. All right, one more. Okay, no, sorry. I got carried away with my jokes about the moon, but don't worry, it's just a phase. As we previously reported, AEW took a number of safety precautions. Well, I made myself laugh on that one because of the story we'll get into later. For this first live episode of Dynamite since the COVID-19 pandemic started, that included strict social distancing guidelines and requiring all fans to wear masks. According to PW Insider, AEW also is enforcing their policy. It was noted that several fans were not following the rules last Thursday and were ejected from Daly's Daly's place by security. We actually asked one ejected fan if he was certain that not wearing a mask was the reason he got kicked out. And he said he was not only sure, he was COVID-19 positive. Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, run by former WWE and WCW superstar Paul Roma, has been hit with a cease and desist letter after being deemed adult entertainment. PAPW released the details of the situation on Twitter, stating that the company needs its fans to help fight back against the town of East Haven after being given the pornography or adult entertainment label. One thing is for sure, it's going to be a hard battle. Prior to Payback, Baron Corbin sent out the following tweet. Tonight, I proved that Matt Riddle is a failure in a WWE ring. By the way, he's already proven that he's a failure at home. Ooh. The tweet was brought up during Matt Riddle's match by the commentary team, as well as Elise Ashton, who asked him about it backstage following the match. We've yet to receive confirmation, but there's a rumor Matt Riddle's wife found out about his affair after finding letters he was hiding, and that is why she will never play Scrabble with him ever again. Now, supposedly when the divorce lawyer asked Matt Riddle if he could get his affairs in order for the divorce, he said, by alphabet or by age, bro. I hope his wife just turns around and gets revenge and has sex with somebody famous, like Tony the Tiger, but that would be flake news. Can I do one more to make up for that? That was horrible. One more. What if Matt Riddle actually had his affair on an elevator? That would be wrong on so many levels. All right, let's wrap it up here. The Rock has revealed that he and his family have tested positive for COVID-19. The WWE alumnus and actor posted a video to Instagram where he said that his wife and two youngest children all tested positive for the virus. Although in the video, he at least does seem to be doing well for the time being, all things considered, but unfortunately, he can't smell what he's cooking. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Monday morning monologue.
Yeah. Wow, man. Keith Lee shit had me going. I love that hide and explore shit. The man beast, the monologue beast. That's how we do it on your Monday, Labor Day. Kicking the morning off right with a couple jokes, you guys. Nobody move, nobody get hurt. But thank you, Beast. That's always excellent, man. One of my favorite parts of the morning since you've come over here to the Monday morning monologue has been the highlight for many people. And I know they're going to get worse and worse as time goes on.
Yes, absolutely.
Talked to Jamin yesterday. I was trying to get him to do the run in today, but it's Jay. He's like, oh, bro, next week, can you put me in for next week? So maybe next week we'll have Jamin and all events here. But that's why I try to call him 24 hours out, because that's usually how you got to book him, because his memory is that of an earthworm. And 2 minutes later, whatever you were talking about is gone. So I'm looking forward to him. I told him, I want him on my team. I want Mondo on the team too. I wanted Swinger, but unfortunately they're in their own way. So we just keep pushing it forward. Hopefully for Switch Up September, we have some awesome new guests for you guys. Just on different shows, keep things alive, and maybe get those guys hooked up. So when they do come on, let's definitely put them over 1,000%. They're only going to make Hameen Media Group that much stronger. I don't know why I'm sweating so much under my armpit, man. What is going on? Look at that. I'm not even sweating out of my head.
It could be because you're a culture vulture. Well,
it could be.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. That humor is moist. Maybe that's what it is. That moist from your humor has got me all lit up here. I don't know. But fresh shave for the wives to come back. Beard's got to get oiled today, so I'll be doing a little of that. RBV, what do you got going down today, man?
Well, as you said, Ben, we got a lot going on this month. Just to throw it out there once again, a couple roundabouts with the announcements. It's the final day for the 5-star Star Search. We're over a dozen there. Keep them coming in. I've listened to a handful of them so far. Some tremendous content there. So just keep it coming in. I know everybody that's entered here, they're already excited. They've been reaching out, especially to myself and MSG. So it's gonna be a hell of an event. We got the shakeup. Then you were mentioning all these guests, but it's going to also be a lot of familiar faces in different places, as we're all going to be on the move. You catch me on a Wednesday locker room or Beast on a Friday. You don't know what's going to happen here. So it's going to be a great September. But gentlemen, as we get into the headlines, really only a lot of news, but really only two major talking points here. So we're going to kind of have like an open forum this morning.
Sounds good.
We're going to kind of play off of what we got here. Let's jump into it. It seems in today's wrestling world that the best drama is outside of the ring. It's outside of the arena. It's happening in the real world, and it had everybody talking earlier this weekend. Vince McMahon and the WWE announced a new mandate requiring all WWE superstars to halt activities with third-party contracts. This is especially targeting social media streaming sites such as Twitter, Cameo, and YouTube. Pretty much in WWE's defense here, they're pretty much playing into the court of, the decision was made in the best consideration of the directive of the company going forward, and they are protecting their intellectual properties. Again, the internet wrestling community, absolutely, their heads explode here. Mm-hmm. Anything that WWE is going to do has to be evil. It's vile. It's disgusting. They're the worst human beings. They're just blatantly going after these talents and attacking them. I got to tell you, I don't know if I totally agree with it, but I absolutely understand it, especially with the line of work that I'm in. Beast, what was your take when you first saw this?
Hold on. No, you're not getting off that easy, RBV. You just said you can understand. I want to know, you have an opinion. I want to know your opinion first.
Well, as I see, so many of the, the fanatics out there, the internet wrestling community, they immediately go on the attack. If it's from WWE, it has to be evil. How could they do this? These people, they're independent contractors. They should be able to live their life. They're out there trying to make a living. That's not necessarily the case. That's not how it works in the real world of being an independent contractor. I'm an independent contractor. So when I go and, if I use one of my top clients, they are a major bar restaurant on the west side of Cincinnati. Yep. It is written into my contract, my agreement with them. I'm not an official employee there, but I still have to abide by, their regulations, their code of conduct, if you will. I cannot necessarily go pick up any other clients in that area without consulting with them, because they do not want that direct competition and that same style of marketing being presented, just down the street there. So there is that code of conduct. There are those regulations that even an independent contractor has to abide by when you enter into those deals.
Yeah. And I would say to that point, I feel like as a corporate entity, it's almost like they're trying to, rather than, because really this is something that should be treated on a case-by-case basis. Because it was my understanding this whole thing went down because of supposedly this, because if this is not true, this is what I heard, that Lana was on her social media promoting Bang energy drinks. And obviously if WWE has a sponsor that sells energy drinks, then there's a conflict of interest. But I feel like maybe in that one exact situation, that's something that should have been addressed as its own situation. But it seems like because they're a corporate entity, you probably don't have the framework to be able to break down case by case because of how many on the roster are using social media, that this was a blanket way to treat the situation. And unfortunately, it's really not a fair one or a reasonable one, especially given the fact that many of these quote unquote superstars are making a lot of extra money and counting a lot of them on, setting up retirement funds and educational funds for their kids and things like that based on the money they're getting from these social media ventures. So to me, it seems like if they feel the reasonable action is to do that, then I feel like as these contracted talents, their responsibility is to get together and say, okay, if you're not going to allow us to do this, here's how much we're making month by month extra. If you're going to make up that difference, then we'll do it. If not, then we're going to continue to do what we do because you're not paying us that money to be able to make up for it. And that's just my 2 cents.
Ben?
The Bang energy drink thing is just an easy excuse because as she's been on the heater list for 2-3 years now, and obviously getting herself over more on TikTok and whatever, where she's dancing hip hop and being sexy, showing camel toe, making her husband dance. And even after TikTok is exposed as a Chinese spy app. So good on them hitting 1 million followers. Good job, everybody. To keep putting it over, that's just for them to cut her throat a little farther. I'd say for her, fuck it, quit. Why stick around now? They've been treating you like shit for the last 2 years and you've already got 1 million influencer. If you can convert 10% of 1 million, 100,000 people buying something from you, you've got crazy value. Even as much as I disagree with how she is in the business. But that's just a red herring because this goes deeper than that with AJ being on Twitch talking shit about the company. Lana's just an easy target to get this going forward. They've had these meetings for months now of like, how do we get everybody under control? Well, we're not using Paige, baby girl. And it's only a matter of time before she's shoving something else up her ass on camera. And, but she gets on Twitch and just tells people subscribe, offers no shows. No content, no nothing. Let me stand in front of a green screen in a goddamn bunny rabbit outfit that you think I'm cute and with my accent and just tell people over and over again, you have to subscribe. I need 50 gifted subs or I'm turning this off. Like that's her show.
Well, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned Paige. It's one of those kind of spin-off headlines that we've got in these two major talking points. She's already got on record here and said she is not closing down her Twitch account.
Why would she?
She has gone ahead. She's already begun the rebranding process. She switched it to her real name. She's changing out the graphics and all of that. I've seen her in certain reports where she says she's clearing well over 35 a month.
Yeah, I believe it.
And the only thing I've ever really seen her do on there is play, what is it, that Animal Planet game or whatever?
If they would have let her stay in her underwear like it was, she'd be clearing $100,000. She'd make $1 million this year. And that's why, to be honest with you, she needs to get the fuck out of WWE. It's not like her family aren't carny indie UK people. They're lowest of the low, like all of them are. It's not like that's some high standard to set up to go.
Now, Ben, you're saying the family. You're not saying all UK people, correct?
I don't know. Have you been listening to the new Smack Attack?
Yeah. Well, we do.
Carney country, baby.
Yeah. 70%. But like, the fact that she could go to Pornhub tomorrow like that with the stuff that's already out there, who cares? She doesn't even have to do anything hardcore. She could become a porn mogul based off of her name and bringing in a squad of 10 to 12 girls, and she's their pimp based off of her celebrity, and they're doing these Instagram girl stories that are doing OnlyFans now. There's no way that Vince would be paying her the same amount that way, dude. And now she could take 10% from 12 other girls getting the shine off of her, and she's off to the races and forget wrestling. Not like I'm here to try and help make Paige millions of dollars, but this is what Hameen Media Group is ready to do. You want to F over third-party consultants and you can't talk to Russo? That probably got out too. That I bet there's a half dozen guys on the roster right now who text and talk to Russo on the kayfabe because their creative sucks shit through a straw so bad that they're looking for any outside help from people that they fucking trust and could go to. You want a stooge on the Monday Locker Room? That's probably another part of it because they know that shit's going on because their stuff sucks so bad that they probably hear through their stooges what's going on Russo brand, and then they see the creative that's getting pitched by I'm not going to name names, and they know because what we say on air usually in some type of way butts up against what's really going on that way. But let's talk about what this really is more than anything. It's not about Paige. It's those are the little things. AJ's heat, Lana, we can F her over and piss off Rusev and F up their home life. That's just the little, we got them. What's the reality of this? What do I say this shit is all the time? And what's my favorite show?
Sopranos.
Yes. And this shit is the Mafia. And you're not going to fucking earn in the Mafia. And not when you earn in the Mafia as a lower level guy, what do? You
got to kill some people.
Well, I mean, after you do that, money,
you begin rising through the ranks, right?
You kick up. You got to kick up money. This shit is the mob. Like you pay when Paulie and those guys go knock off $750,000 from some money laundering thing, 50 grand goes right to Tony Soprano. Without doing shit, right? That's the mob. This is what it is. Vince goes, I don't care if you earn $400 on Cameo, turning down some fucking nerd who jacks off to your picture every night, who asks you out for a date and pays for it. You didn't kick up of that 400. You didn't kick up 100 to me. Guess what? That shit's done. It's 100% tribute to the boss, dude. When I say the mob, people they think that it's just like, oh, your best friend gets you. No, the mob. This is it, bro. It's the exact same fucking principle. And if you don't, you're not going to put an ice pick in the back of Lana's head as much as they may want to, but they're going to do it proverbially and cut off your outside shit, cut you down and not that. And then, of course, the ego of Vince. And I said this when Sideburns and I were talking yesterday. I go, he's a fool not to work with Cameo and try and get a deal done. Then I saw that story is that's what they're trying to do to get like WWE branded one so they can get their Mafia percentage, to have official that way. But of course, when it's like Cameo, we'll make our own goddamn Cameo and they'll do it from WWE.com, right? Like that's on the table. And then also they don't want Twitch. We'll make our own goddamn Twitch. Like, he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about to start with, let alone to like, okay, here are these marketing spots that we can go into where it doesn't cost us anything marketing wise. It only takes us to put our talent out there and have somebody running that where the money would come back in and then get divided up the right way. But his ego is so retarded that they want to compete with it. You want to go back to talk about Twitter and compete with it? Remember, tout, pal? Yeah. Me. Everybody's going to tout. We're touting this. We're touting that. No tout about it. Yeah, how fucked it was exactly the same as Twitter when Twitter started. Again, because you've got 75-year-olds who don't even know how to use the remote control or their cell phone properly, telling you how to use third-party digital streaming services to get digital currency based off of the celebrity. Oh, you own that goddamn celebrity. And not only that, I own your real name too. And there's a death clause. And I own your goddamn catchphrase. And you know what else? Yeah, I own your kids. I own them all. Like, the fucking level of delusion is unbelievable. That REB, I'm glad you pointed out. I don't give a fuck about what they say when you're an independent contractor. You want me, then you, like B said, then you pay me the difference and you sign me. So I don't have to go waste my time 2 hours a day trying to build my following because I know wrestling sucks and this is another way I can make money because Zack Ryder made 13 grand doing it and now everybody's got to fucking do it, and they run to it. Instead of fucking doing it the right way, they got to put their ego forward. They fuck it up for everyone. You already know Morale was the shits in WWE the last 2 years. Now you're going to fucking do this, take away their only pleasure to truly interact with fans on a certain level because you're a mark for yourself and worried about what they're going to say on there or that you're not getting kicked up to. It's all going to end badly. There is no positive solution to this except for Hameen Media Group because anybody future endeavored or not under contract, get at us, dog, because I want to take all that money that they're about to take out of fucking Paige and AJ and whoever else, and I want it in our pockets and the people who are fucking working with us because the more stupid see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil shit they do to lock themselves down in the wrestling bubble, that just hardens how stupid they fucking are and how much harder it is to get out of that. Meanwhile, on the outside, we're out here going, I'll take a little of that, and I like that, and I'll influence that, and I'll influence what's going on inside the bubble just to fuck with you. And then I'll do this, and I'll take more property. So you guys keep doing what you're doing over there at WWE. It's fucking working out like gold. I mean, everything is really hitting on all cylinders. You're really doing a great job being in touch with the fans and knowing what they want and the whole digital landscape. Just some fucking great advising going on over there. Does that mean that old Brother Love and fucking Mortgage Dumpsky can't fucking do their podcast anymore too? Because he's earning money off of that. Is that what you're fucking saying with this type of shit? Because where's the line? You're going to go after Woods after they already own up, down, and he probably makes more. Woods could leave wrestling tomorrow and work for AE Sports and make twice as much. Like doing nothing. And they are that oblivious to what they have, where that is their tentacles into the real world, the digital, not the real world, but the digital world outside of the bubble. That's one of the few ways that people could get outside of the bubble. And now that shit's done and it's lockdown, quarantine in stupid town.
I wonder too, does this fall under the same kind of guidelines as the wellness policy? I mean, are you going to go to your ambassadors, your legends deals?
Well, parallel. Chief Keef can't do a show, sell merch, can't put out a mixtape without cutting Alki David in. It's the same thing. Yeah, these 360 deals is what they call them. Came about in hip hop and music, where everything you own. If we put out your album, you sign with us for 2 years, right? But it's a 360 deal. We're 4 years. We're gonna put out 2 albums. But guess what? Even after that 4 years is up, anything you do tour-wise, anything merch-wise, that fucking original company that signed you gets a big chunk of it. These 360 deals are the worst thing for any performer in the history of whatever. It might take some people from minuscule to a fucking mainstream, but if you have, say that person was making 70 grand as an independent artist, right? They go mainstream and they make 10 million this year. Of course, if I go, you want to make 70 or 10 million. Okay, I love 10 million. But now everything you make past that, we get 60% of. Oh, the album, that's all recoupable, both of those. That's $8 million. Now you're down to 2 million. Oh, the tour and everything, that's recoupable. That cost $1 million. So now you're down to 1 million of your $10 million. Oh, out of that, you got to pay the bandmates, the studio time, and da-da-da. Now we're down to 300,000. Now you could have 300,000 with all the fucking headaches, and you own nothing, and you're a celebrity that they say and wind you up. Or you could be making your 70 grand and probably grow that to 300,000 in the next 3 years and own it all. You own your whole library, you own everything produced, and you might only have 20,000 fans as opposed to 2 million, but guess what? Those 20,000 are going to be valued buyers every single fucking time because they love you because you stayed true to your roots. Your underground didn't sell out and do all that shit, and you own it all. At the end of the day, it's going to generate for you if you know how to use it properly as time goes on. That's Joe Rogan said that exact same thing with Bill Burr. It's 100 times better to own your shit than it is to go to Hollywood, try to sell out for fucking these big masses where they just pimp you out. It's way better to have a 2% of that audience and own all of your shit, man. So let that be a lesson to you in the bright lights, big city. Or that's why they sign 19-year-olds like fucking, what's her name in the fucking Riot Squad? Liv Morgan. I saw Liv Morgan on Friday before they dropped that. She goes, if I can get to 25,000 followers, you guys are going to get to see my crazy life on YouTube, where she's on her Instagram and she's taking a pic in front of a full body mirror in her little shitty condo that's, in Florida that every over wrestler buys with skin tight fucking yoga pants on, showing her camel toe and the thigh gap. Like, that's a funny life you got there, Liv. Like, let me fucking get 25,000 followers so you can see my 22-year-old spreader. You have no fucking, nothing on TV has worked. Why would I go to your YouTube except for to be some tape trader masturbator? That's the only ones who give a fuck about that kind of stuff. And then 2 hours later, Vince drops that shit about nobody's doing anything. You got 30 days to get off goddamn YouTube. So no thigh gap spreader on YouTube from Liv for you guys coming up. Sorry, it's just not going to work out that way. But you can catch it on the network on a new Gap thigh spreader. WAP. That's where, I don't know what that means, but they pitched a new show, WAP. And that's what we're going to have on there. Yeah. WAP.
Well, Ben, maybe that's where you got to develop that craving for tacos this weekend. Was
I
live
could
more social media.
Yeah.
Hey, Beast, let's put a little spin on it here. When I ask you, in today's marketplace for professional wrestling, is there an option now that talents or potential signees can see this and try to, maybe with a little hand, try to negotiate around having such strict deals from WWE, or are they still such a juggernaut inside of professional wrestling that they're going to strong arm or find people that are just going to willingly, or just going to bow down to this situation?
Well, it's always worth lawyering up if you have the ability to, and I would think anyone on the roster would have the ability to. They make enough money, but certainly making sure that within the clauses of the contract that I still can't help but feel like that this is a blanket precedent that they're trying to set for everybody rather than taking it on as a case-by-case basis. And it does come down to, having more control over the talent it is better from a company standpoint, not from necessarily a wrestler standpoint. So I can see why, they want to do this, but at the end of the day, it simply isn't right. And I'm glad a lot of people are speaking up and speaking out about it, especially people that are outside the bubble, so to speak, like CM Punk or Mick Foley. They're on, Twitter, not afraid to blast them out about it. So it will be interesting. Even I saw, what's his name? Andrew Yang was even getting in on it. So I thought that was an interesting twist.
I'm going to reach out to Andrew Yang this week because, whatever the talk was with what's his fucking.
I guess real quick for maybe those out there that aren't familiar with Andrew Yang, he's a corporate lawyer, American entrepreneur. At one point was a hopeful for the Democratic presidential candidacy, and now he's taken to social media and he's pretty much gone at Vince. He said, this is the wrong classification. You better be hoping. He said, I'm not the labor, what is it? It's escaping me right now, but he doesn't oversee the labor
Department of Labor Statistics.
Yeah. He's not the head of the labor department.
Yeah.
But Vince had better be praying that his good friend gets back in there for another 4 years, because the WWE is going to be a target. They are misclassifying their employees, and this is an unfair business practice. And you talk about going, just not stepping just a little bit outside the bubble. This is a major jump for someone to be coming at the WWE.
No, I'm telling you right now, and get the stooge to Vince, because I don't give a fuck, because I'm third-party consultant. You got no ties over me, Briz, unless you want to fucking pay me the $400,000 that I demand per year to come in to take over your creative team, and then I'll shut up. But until that time, I'm going to get a hold of Andrew Yang this week. Whatever happened with the David Starr speaking out, and the guy's a total fucking douchebag. I wouldn't want David Starr representing me in anything where he acts like he's one way, but he's really just a fucking little boy. I'm a man. I'm going to get a hold of Andrew Yang, and we're going to start talking, try and get a hold of his people to start formulating the union. Because Stevie and I talked about this before, and for some reason it feels like it's always over my shoulder. Like, it's back there. We're not there yet. I know we got a lot of Hameen media stuff we wanted to, but now that this is in the open and there's momentum and Yang is in there and it's political, there's no better time for wrestlers to truly get rights, especially in the face of something as dumbass, ludicrous as this, of a 75-year-old man being pissed off at Lana and AJ Styles. Let's make no bones about it. It's got nothing to do without that. It's about mafia kickback money and fuck yous to the undercard who dare speak out against us. It's nothing more than that. And now they've opened themselves up in a time of, because he's still clueless. He thinks he's untouchable, and he's about to get touched, because that's what people want to do to power structures right now. They want to fucking tear him down. So instead of staying small and thinking they're over, he wants to go at a Twitch community and a Twitter community and a fucking Cameo community. Shows how obliviously dumb as fuck WWE remains to be. And now watch me poke the bear. And maybe that one phone call, maybe we'll have Andrew Yang on here to talk that and be like, please point us in the right direction of how to get with labor union leaders and how we can get this ball rolling. And when the repercussions start against us, that my lawyer, the LLC lawyers, and Andrew Yang's political power will laugh in the face of them when they try and come back with some ridiculous shit. Because that's where we're going right here. And I'm completely open about it. That's the move I'm making. So, night to L4.
Now, Ben, can I ask you, without, potentially stooging off too much of how you envision this thing, how deep would you see a professional wrestlers union extending? I mean, would this something that would spread through the indies? I mean, wouldn't this kind of effect, could it actually, this would completely, in some ways, some could argue, destroy the business. I mean, absolutely change it from the ground up. Would this go from the very bottom to the WWE?
You mean that business that's so healthy and thriving right now, it would destroy that business? Boy, how would it ever?
What would this mean to, let's just say the local Battle on the Border Pro Wrestling up the road for me, or War Wrestling up the road, that that is that mon pop?
Well, I'd say there'll have to be two levels for independent shows. There's a minimum pay scale depending on, I would say, probably crowd that's there. You know what I mean? And who you want to bring in. You couldn't apply the same things pay rate wise. I would say independent contractor. Let's start with the ability to get cheap insurance and the ability to own your rights to everything. And then from that, I would also put in there the ridiculousness of what they're trying to do in having, you have to have an ambulance on site and pay this $750 for some of these ambulance things while you've already paid $250 to have a doctor there. Why am I paying for an ambulance if I have a doctor right here? Why do I need to do this? Why? Because every state is getting kickbacks on that, from New York to Kentucky to the commission. And if you investigate it, I'm sure you're going to fucking find out that way, dude. So these little rules that they want to make up on everybody to have power play, we're taking all that away from them. We're taking all that away out of their hands, dude. That's what needs to happen before anything. So the health rules about a doctor being there, one or the other. have the fucking EMTs. EMTs can take fucking blood pressure. That's all we do before a show anyway. Or the doctor. You're not going to demand that we have both there. That those days are over. That power play would be gone. Then as an independent contractor, you own all the rights to your merch, your creative. Even if you go to WWE, then they have to rebrand you if they want to fucking own that. If you come in like a CM Punk, they don't, unless they're going to pay you a top like, I've got a 13-year career. The equity I've built has been valued at $450,000. You want to buy that and own it? The price is $700,000 with future equity included. So please, in my contract, I'm happy to say, and I'll be Marty McShitkicker from now on. Ben Hameen's dead, but you paid $700,000 for it. Because I'm not going to build this shit and then not fucking cash in just because I'm a mark for the WWE lights to fucking perform on a Zoom call now. Fuck out of here. Those days are gone. You don't have house shows. So how are guys supposed to make any money on the road off of merch sales, off of fucking all that kind of stuff? They're not. And then you're going to tell them you're not doing this and take more from them? Not going to happen, Jackson. Just because you were in power for 50 years, guess what happens to people who are in power? They fall. and oh, how the mighty will fall on this one. So we'll drop some pebbles in the pond for what we really need. So, guys can have that health insurance who are real workers, dude. Like a guy like a necro butcher or somebody along those lines who's had these things. If he has the opportunity to get insurance for $100 a month, so be it, dude. Even after their careers are long over.
If this is a successful movement and it begins pushing forward in, an entity like WWE, you really put their balls in the fire. Often I could see that where that is pushes them over that limit to make the sale. And one of the names that has always been highly spoken of out there that potentially would purchase would be Disney. Could you see at that point wrestling just be reclassified into like an actors union?
We should be SAG-AFTRA. We're already on TV. Like as soon as you're on TV, even as OVW with me and Beast, we're in 1 million people's homes. We're not SAG-AFTRA. We're not union. What the fuck mob deal does Vince have that he can do that they're not that? You know what I mean? It absolutely should be anybody who's on TV that way. And that's another shady thing. So you don't get in there. He's got some deal cut with somebody in Hollywood to keep his independent contractors out of it. So they don't have the rights of a SAG actor after that.
I'd say certainly if there's any opportunity for wrestling to unionize, this is it. I would also say, based on the intricacies of creating a union, and I know all that goes into it, that despite the fact that this is probably the best opportunity, it still may not happen. At the very least, though, something I've said, at least for the last couple of years, and I'll go ahead and put it out there. If anyone wants to partner on this, I just simply don't have the manpower to really get it going. But I've long said, being a physical therapist and a doctor of physical therapy, I'm part of the professional association of the American Physical Therapy Association. I feel like professional wrestling also needs its own professional association. What this does is it actually puts money towards being able to go to, when they're putting bullshit laws in through that affects people like wrestlers, to be able to stand up and say, hey, we're not going to go for this, and this is why, and be able to stand up for people in pro wrestling. And for the pro wrestlers from that end, it actually helps to create a network to where it's easier to get in contact with promoters, with gear makers, with this, that, and the other. And then you partner with other companies and provide discounts for things that wrestlers need, like gear or meals or gym memberships. And it allows basically a way for wrestlers to be able to aggregate together. And usually there's a once-a-year conference to talk about basically all the bullshit that's going on in the profession. That's at least what we do in physical therapy, and be able to say, hey, what's the plan of attack? What are we going to do? And be able to come together more. But the way the business is always run, it kind of came to every wrestler was every man for himself. Everyone had to protect their own brand. But really, we're finding there's a lot more power in numbers. And based on this move that WWE just made, unfortunately, they're getting a lot of people to start coming together against them because of this, because it's not a fair labor practice. And again, if there's any opportunity to unionize, this is it. But at the very least, I do believe some sort of professional association does need to come together for pro wrestling. And again, I've actually laid out an entire business plan. So if anyone does want to partner, I'm more than willing to sit down and have a conversation. But this is the time for wrestlers to come together, because our wrestlers and our talent deserve better. We all deserve better.
You want to work the step up. You want to do it like Yang even gets his dig in there about, you better hope your buddy's in there, dude. This is where you have an opportunity, Democrats, to fucking do something good, not just salacious and like he got pissed on or he was with a whore. Like his best friend's Vince McMahon. They're wide open with their chest and underbelly exposed right here, making the wrong decision upon wrong decision on independent workers that are celebrities that are getting fucked over. You expose that and use that as a platform to go against Trump. Trump's going to have to ditch McMahon. McMahon's going to have to backpedal. And now you've gone over on the Republicans in a fucking Cold War way. But they don't think that way. But when I fucking talk to Andrew Yang's office this week, they're definitely going to think that way because I'm going to lay it all out, and we'll see if they get hooked on it or not. Because that's not an easy battle, but a battle that's in the forefront, worth fighting, that will give the PR to the masses that they don't fucking want to see right now. So I will use their own inabilities of the last 4 years against them, and that's what any real worker should do. And we'll see, man. I doubt it. Maybe it'll go someplace. Maybe it won't. Like I said, Steve and I have had this kind of looming over our shoulders. David Starr's a total douchebag, and he couldn't fucking handle it and fuck that up eventually. And now it's dead on the vine. No, here's the opportunity. Let's drop a pebble in the pond. And now with them against Trump, you never know how fast or where this could move based on that. And with disgruntled employees like AJ Styles, Miro, fucking, all of them, who cares what Ben Hameen says? Because I'm not over in the fucking fans' eyes because I haven't been on TV to do a shitty match against fucking whoever. You can put me in the shitty 6 against Garza or whatever the fuck. So I guess I'm not over in their appearance. But the reality is once those people start bitching and the marks go, yeah, I'm with Lana, then we'll get someplace.
Yeah. I also wouldn't be surprised if we see another John Oliver expose here soon, because he's one that's been outspoken as a wrestling fan and has done some really, really good work. And that was even prior to, really big news hitting. He kind of, helped peel the curtain back on that. So I wouldn't be surprised in the next week or two if we get something on that. And that's just going to continue to keep that snowball rolling.
I think so too. And Atlanta Thrashers in here, I could see it for a pension for the younger guys. Like, say you're not super green and not making a ton of money, but you do 150 is your amount on the indies or whatever. And of that, $20 goes into union dues and 20 goes into pension. So you get $110. With that money, the promoter has to pay it. He has to turn in his sheets at the end, and this goes to that and the other. Now you're a 20-year worker who's working every weekend, and you've built up a little something in a 401k. Might not be a ton, but you've had a career and you've done something, man. And you've provided for your future, and it's just the way it is. Those are the small things we can do out of the gate. It doesn't have to be, I see, teachers union, Frank's talking about his wife there. My mom was a teacher her whole career. I know about the unions, but at the same time, when they try to fuck them over and everyone is outside picketing or we're going to not teach, that broke the back of fucking every school board argument I saw, dude, because especially in the time now with home teaching, the teachers union could have tons and tons of fucking say with everything up in the air. These times of craziness lend it more to the people to come together to get things in the right way, especially when the king on high is throwing down edicts that are just absolutely fucking ridiculous, bro. Your children belong to me. Everything belongs to me. It's all mine. Oh, okay. Guess who's got to die? Not me and my kids. They just don't. Dude, this is Game of Thrones. It's fucking 101, British Empire. It's fucking killing mob bosses in the fucking street in front of the restaurant. We're getting to that fucking level, bro. Not that somebody's gonna assassinate Vince or anything along those lines, but like, who knows, dude? If you piss off a guy enough and take 30 grand out of his pocket, what the fuck he might be capable of when you tell him how he can't put food on the table for his family, you better watch out. All the 22 lawyers on the fucking second floor ain't gonna do shit when fucking somebody's got their hands around your throat.
A bit of a lighthearted twist on this. Are you guys surprised that we've never, maybe not, we obviously haven't seen it, or more stories where Vince has kind of been in those compromised positions where someone has like seriously gone at him with some ill intent? I mean, we've heard, with like Bret Hart or some different confrontations he's had in the locker room. but that there has been, maybe a disgruntled ex-employee or somebody that has seriously gone after him.
When Brock goes off, he throws the fucking belt at him or against the wall and shit. Like, now that he's not there, but like, Brock would be one absolutely like, fuck you and fuck your shit.
Yeah, I'm even thinking, back even to like, the 80s where, Vince is pretty much, he's putting the needle in their ass, and now, later on their health is gone. They've lost everything that we haven't seen somebody go off the deep end.
Prove it. That's what he'd say, right? So fuck, prove it. Just punch his face in. Just beat the fuck out of him, because that's really what you need when you're a boss on a high horse and you're talking down to somebody. There's nothing that's going to bring you back down when you got the power. What brings you down? Physical pain, to let you know that you're nothing more than a piece of shit human like anybody else, dude. The power is an illusion. It's only what you give somebody that let them have power hold over you, dude. Whether it's debt, slavery, your job, and your boss, you need to check them and fucking let them know that I might come in here with a 45 tomorrow if you keep fucking around. Keep fucking around. See what the fuck happens. Just keep pushing me and see what happens. Like, they need that healthy bit of fear in their life because they've gotten away with it for absolutely so long, bro. And I see good points in the chat room here at twitch.tv/conspiracy horseman, YouTube Ben Hameen, for the live chat, about indie promoters couldn't kick in to help with the health insurance and da-da-da. Yes, they can. Even if it's $5 here, whatever, but as a union member, you have to pay dues. If everybody out of the gate who has to be a part of this going forward, indie work or not, paying your dues, puts in $100 to get this going and has the lawyers and everything we get going forward that way, then we can start doing smaller insurance thing, even if it's supplemental to do this. And yeah, every quarter you're going to have to pay $100, but now indie promoters aren't going to have to spend $350 to $750 on a fucking ambulance because we already got the fucking doctor there. We're only going to have to do this. We're not going to have these exorbitant insurance fees. To get $1 million insurance policy to run on one show in New York is $450. That's just it's a rape and a money grab. And if somebody got hurt on your show, like when Chris Envy fucking botched the Hurricane Rana Dynasty, do you think Chris Envy, who's the promoter, do you think his $1 million insurance policy paid out a cent on any of his stuff? Not a fucking dime. He's the promoter and the wrestler who got hurt and had to pay for the $450 insurance policy, all as a work in New York for $1 million. That's in case some kid gets kicked in the face, whatever, outside, you know what I mean? And even then, you're going to get fined by the commission for fighting outside of the ring and hurting a fucking fan. They get you coming and going. And that's where these motherfuckers need their tits slapped and to get beat down by a real union with lawyers, with workers who say enough is enough of this business. Like the whole thing needs to be redone from the top because of what McMahon dictated in 1981 when he took over. And now he's a delusional old codger who just is greedy.
I think overall, one of the things, the major points in this whole situation that needs to, pretty much a 180 on this thing is it doesn't need to be about the power of the promoters anymore. It has to be about the power of the performers, the talent, and let them kind of dictate the direction of the business.
I don't give a fuck. You're old used Kentucky racehorse. You place ninth and your dick doesn't work to go stud. What are they going to do to you?
Well, damn. Elmer's glue.
That's it. Bullet in the head and off to the glue factory. And they did it with fucking Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, fucking Rusev, Aiden English. Dude, go right. AOP this week. Dude, think about how much money and time they invested in AOP. Never worked the indies. Nobody ever heard of them. They were nothing, just two big fucking foreign guys. Hey, foreign guys are scary. Bring them out, can't work a lick, make them fucking hitmen. Nope, that doesn't work with Seth. Take him off the road. One gets hurt. That guy's got more value. Neither of them have. Release them. Oh, that was a good 4-year experiment. How much money did we waste? 70 to 200,000 per each guy over 4 years. Let's just call it average 150. So there's 300 grand each a year times 4, $1.2 million probably as a total investment failed experiment on AOP that you got no dividend, no payoff on.
Well, the worst part about that is I also feel like they could have at least, from what I understand, they were ready to. I know one of them got injured, but one of them he'd already healed up, and they had the opportunity to bring him back and get some return on investment. Not to mention shake up the roster a little bit and make things perhaps more interesting on television. But instead, it was just cut it. That I didn't understand on that story either.
That's where we're at when we're switching management and everyone wants to get their dumb little shit in and not worry about the greater storyline or the people involved in it or the audience.
Well, gentlemen, let's go ahead and switch gears. Let's move away from the WWE corporate world and let's head to the competition. All Elite Wrestling. They had one of their major marquee events this past weekend. Oof. We're talking a little All Elite Wrestling. All Out. We got a few things. Hey, Beast, I know you got something you are very hot on here. We're gonna hold that one for a minute, okay?
Oh, it's okay. I'm not hot. I'm ready.
We're gonna hold that one before you get there. But I did want to jump into this thing and just overall presentation. Let's look at this thing. 2.5 hour pre-show, 4 hour main card. In all, at All Out, 11 matches. This thing felt very crowded. It had trouble finding a groove. Couldn't really pick up a vibe from it. Ben, just overall thoughts on these extended cards. I know you're not a fan. We've talked about it here before, but in this circumstance here with AEW.
I don't know what you're talking about. You don't like going to the movies and watching a 6 hour movie? Super fun to sit in a movie theater. Your ass feels really good. Your feet don't fall asleep. You're really entertained. A 6 hour story. You're like, hey, tell me that story about that time in high school. Well, you got 6 hours? Yeah. Well, all right, sit down. Dude, this is Tony Khan 101. Being a Mark boy, thinking that he can book all this stuff and get everything over, and that doesn't know how to put a show together. A show, not only are the matches ultra important in themselves, but the show needs to take you on a ride in the way that it's booked. He has no mentor, obviously, to show him that, even though he's got hundreds of people, or not hundreds, maybe a dozen people there who could easily do that and go, no, this has got to go, that's got to go, this has got to go here. You've got 3 gimmick matches. No, we only need 1 gimmick match, maybe 2 at the opposite ends of the show, / But they all want a paycheck. They're all going to smile, wave, and do whatever. Meanwhile, JR buries it on commentary. The workers, you can see they're uninspired with these spots. We're doing body bag shit and just absolutely amateur hour. You've given controls of the plane to a 4-year-old, and you're going to expect them to land it safely at Heathrow. Not going to happen.
Real quick, Beast, let me jump in here. Ben, I love the rapport that we've grown here on the Monday Locker Room, because I actually cut this out for time, but I did want to bring up, and Ben, you kind of hit it here. Tony Khan making all the PR rounds. I did want to ask you guys, I mean, is he coming off? And I know some people are like, well, he's a
fuck up. He can't, like, if you just sit there and let them praise you.
Well, and even with, I understand, you are the owner, people are requesting you want to do those interviews, but he doesn't come off as that corporate leader, as the guy that's really sitting at the top of the mountain. To me, he's coming off as the ultimate, not just money mark, but fantasy booker. I mean, he's sitting there telling, oh yeah, I sat down and I worked with Jericho and Orange to work through this match, and then I've got these other meetings. He's just ultimately, he's a fan. He hasn't learned from anybody. He has no experience, but he's out there putting himself over, and ultimately just a super mark for his own work here.
How dare you talk about him like that?
I'll say it's really hard, almost impossible. And I actually can't say I've seen it done successfully by anyone, but wearing way too many hats. Whoever's booking the show, their main concern should just be booking the show, not trying to close on sponsorship deals and be one of the boys. And that's the other part of it too, as I can't help but he very much wants to be part of the locker room and be the quote unquote one of the boys, but also wants to be the boss. And unfortunately, those two things just do not coalesce. You got to be one or the other. And when you start trying to wear different hats and mix different things and take on too many responsibilities, unfortunately, something is going to be slacking. And it's not any fault of the person. It's just not possible to do. You should be putting your full focus on one aspect of the company. not every little detail. And unfortunately, when you start to do that, quality is going to suffer.
Well, while we're talking about Tony, and it's everyone wants to know about it, so we'll go ahead and jump in. I know Beast, you were kind of hot the other day about it. You might have cooled down a little bit here, but let's talk about Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara. We get the major fall here. It seems Hardy loses. He's out of it. He's knocked out. I did want to bring up here because anyone that's joining us on social media, we'll make sure that you're in with the Hami Media Group over on Discord. So from good old Ye Old Athers, also our Smack Attack host, he was asking, do you think that they pushed to continue on with the Hardy match here because of the stipulations they set in place? So were they trying to push the in-story agenda where, both of these guys were going to walk away? It was a last man standing that they wanted to, instead of trying to work out of this, they were just pushing through. So they put Hardy's health at risk, or further at stake here, just to try to get themselves through the story they had laid out?
Well, if so, it's a bullshit excuse. But I can only hypothesize and guess. I mean, sure, that's I guess a possibility. But to be, there's so many ways you can book yourself out of that. You had a legitimate injury happen. First, I feel like I need to say this, because when I saw the situation happen, again, as a healthcare professional, as someone that has worked backstage to maintain the health of the wrestlers and make sure nobody gets hurt, I was appalled at what happened. But that being said, I also saw the aftermath, and I saw all the people coming after Tony Khan. And rather than going on the offense, he was going on the defense. And I can understand from a psychological perspective, our natural defense mechanism is to say, people are coming after me, I need to defend myself. And so we saw him saying, oh no, he's fine. Oh no, we did this. Oh no, we did that. But I truly, at the end of this, want a positive result. And so what I'll say is, it's okay to say we fucked up. We all fuck up. We all sometimes say things or do things that we maybe shouldn't have done, but it's also our responsibility to understand and recognize those things and try to be better because of it. So what I personally would love to see is for them to come out and say, you know what, we made a call last weekend at the pay-per-view that we should not have made. We should have taken the time to medically intervene with Matt Hardy, and should he have cleared our test, he could have continued. And had he not, the match was done. Instead, and a lot of time that happened, because the thing that I guess really kind of grinded my gears is when I heard that they did a concussion protocol, Matt Hardy. The time that passed, as someone that has done several concussion protocols on wrestlers, that was literally impossible. You don't see an NFL player getting walked off the field and then the commercial break happens. The next play, he's back out on the field playing. It takes a lot more time to be able to run people through that. So I would love to see some positive change. And I'm going to put it out there too. Maybe this will come back around, maybe it won't. But as someone that has laid out a concussion and health and wellness protocol for a national television company with Gladiator Sports Network and OVW, I helped to lay out all the framework for that. And despite not being with the company anymore, it's still a framework they continue to use to this day to keep their wrestlers healthy. And despite my feelings aside for that company, they do a great job with at least maintaining that. And I would be more than glad to do the same thing for AEW. I would use the exact same framework I use to help keep the athletes healthy, because at the end of the day, what it's about is these people that we love to watch and love to see us entertain and perform for us. I want to see them not only be able to have as long a career as they would like to have, but at the end of it, be able to walk and be healthy and have a high quality of life for a career well-deserved. And at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that that is something that we would like to see, at least in my opinion.
Well, they're going to have a chance to right the wrong there, and possibly they'll go the direction that you're suggesting there, Beast, because
I'm all ears. Bookthedoctor@gmail.com. Hit me up, even if it's just for consulting. I really want to see better things for the health of our wrestlers, and I'm willing to do whatever I can help with. If there's any way I can help, again, I've laid out this type of framework before, and it was very effective. So please, at the very least, even if it's not me, take a stand and say, we're not going to do this. This is something that should never have happened, and we are going to make sure it never happens again. That's what I would like to see.
Very well said, sir. Hardy will be making an appearance on this week's Dynamite. Ben, let's change gears here a little bit, unless you have something to add there. But I'm just going to start you off with let's talk about the women's matches that we saw. I guess won fairly decent in the women's championship match. Wasn't the best that we've seen from AEW in a week's time, but the championship match, the champion versus champion, probably one of the better matches on the card for the night. Well, let's start off with this Big Swole and Britt Baker, whatever you want to make of this thing, this complete debacle that's happening inside a dentist office in a cinematic kind of presentation.
Well, that's before we even get to that. I mean, do you think Tony Khan is the kind of guy who's going to show up and go, "I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was doing"? His father is well known for replacing their whole front office with scab workers and getting rid of the professionals who are the best of the job. Like that I'm sorry, I'm wrong is not in his DNA. It's more, I'm the best. Let me go on Twitter and say, it seems to be working out good for me, as he responds to Meltzer and some fucking things instead of being a high-level CEO. What were his credentials before that? He did YouTube analytics, and he ran an eFed online, a fantasy eFed. That's the guy who's in control. That's the guy who is making decisions. And have Aubrey Edwards, a known medical professional and ref who's dealt with a lot of heavy concussions, check on Matt and do a pause because Tony wanted to make sure. Just really, really high level stuff, everybody. And instead of doing what they should have done with Matt, because, Tony's a genius. The whole thing was, we want what for Matt Hardy in WWE?
The broken
universe. And then we got that for, did we get even any broken universe? Nope. We got
a sham of it.
We got a broken Matt in an AEW ring. We didn't get broken universe, right? We get these stadium shows with pop things where he goes into the ice fucking maker and comes back out as version 2 or whatever, where they try just to show that Khan's watched everything and he can get over with Matt Hardy. I remember when you were big money, Matt. I remember me. I'm a super fan. That's all we have here is a super fan, dude. And it's playing owner. He needs me on his team. He needs Josh Jenneret. He needs Stevie Richards. He needs Strangler Steve King. He needs Dr. Ted. He needs to eliminate all these executive vice presidents who are stooging off on their own little YouTube shows that they wish they'd never become office. They're tired of being office. They don't want to have to deal with that kind of shit. I did the watch along last night, AJ Styles and Bullet Club, as Bullet Club, the last 2 CW show, the Young Bucks and AJ versus Sean Carr, Jay Freddy, and Pepper Parks. They were having the time of their lives. You can see the life force has been sucked out of them, bro, when the Bucks are doing popcorn against fucking Jurassic Express. Brutal. Bob Evans style here, bro. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous to like that this guy's going to come out, especially against Rebby Hardy. When Rebby starts talking, you know what you do? You shut the fuck up. Because if you want to come back, she's going to light into you twice as hard with some Latino heat, bro. And who is he to be saying, oh, Matt's going to be fine, we checked on it out, while Matt's in concussion protocol, and Rebby's like, nobody checked on us and stooging them off like while they're trying to do face. Instead of getting your ass in the car, going, here's what a promoter does when one of his top people are hurt. You're in charge of the show. I got to go with Matt to the hospital. Did he do that?
I have no idea.
No, I mean, even Vince McMahon left
with Matt. What would we have seen? His dumb ass would have been selfieing in the ER, like everybody to get himself over. Is that he doesn't even know the basics of? You better go get in that fucking ambulance with that guy who just put his body on the line for you. Don't worry, Arn Anderson can handle the rest of this fucking show, this shit show you got fucking going on here, like orange juice fucking whirlpools and shit. Come on. Like, doesn't even know the basics of what it takes to do this stuff, bro. So, and you think Matt Hardy doesn't know that too, what he's thinking as it goes on? The fact that we didn't even do protected broken universe stuff, the fact that we're doing things with a guy who shouldn't be climbing scaffolding, but instead we got to go on a sky lift and do a table spot where you think, oh, this would be a good place to have the crash pads underneath it. Nope. No crash pad. It's like the table's not there. Just taking insane bumps on concrete for no reason whatsoever. Then he's knocked the fuck out. And then you're going to make him climb some scaffolding that is looked super hard to climb. Like the bars were way bigger and slick and painted. No hand grips for safety, just some video game. Let me press up and X and watch him climb the ladder. That's how you do that. Like everything he does is in a video game mentality where it's no real bones, bodies, concussions, fucking piss and blood the next day. None of that shit registers in his mind. Let him take his ass up there and do what Vince does. Don't worry about this, Gronk. You just got to get off it. Ha, 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 ha. Let's see his ass get up there and start fucking going off tables off a skylift. Don't worry, guys. This is how you do it. I've done these skylift table spots 1,000 times. Like, bullshit. He doesn't know how to protect Matt. Everything Matt should have been doing in this part of his career should have been Broken Universe, all pre-produced, safe stuff, not table match, getting your head laced open to follow up the next week with a fucking concussion spectacular 101 of get your shit in because Tony wants it that way. If he loved wrestling, he would know where Matt's body is based on the duck walk and his fucking hips being all fucked up. I'd never ask Matt Hardy to do either of those spots. For no reason whatsoever, bro. And now the guy's fucking hurt with 3 little kids. You got his hot Latino wife pissed off, and you've shown the entire wrestling world just what WWE did. We don't know how to do what Impact does properly. We can't even copy properly and come up with our own shit to protect Matt Hardy. That's the reality of where they're at with that, bro. Now you want to go to fucking the cinematic bullshit of we're in the doctor's office with Big Swole throwing all types of dumb shit. And, I pop for Rebby always. She's not Rebby, a Rebel. I pop for Rebby too. Rebel, but with the pizza spot and all those little fun things. But then we get into a fucking spot where she stabs her in the goddamn leg with a fucking needle, with a syringe. Do you know what sport we're in right now? Do you know what fucking arena we're in right now, dude? Of where that's one of the last things you would want to show on TV to bring yourself under. At least it was the girls and not Brian Cage or somebody doing it. Like, bend over, let me stick this in your ass. Like, dude, the gas reference, the intravenous drug references, when you're trying to do, I think it was it not Step Brothers? It's another knockoff from some movie or what have you. But like, just absolutely asinine.
Oh, it's the Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights with the
Bobby. Yeah. Just asinine choices, bro. And nobody there to bring them into a closet and $5 face slap the shit out of them 2 or 3 times. Go over, tear the paper up in front of them. No, dude, we don't do intravenous drug spots here. We don't do that on these shows. Okay, let me explain it to you why. Like, nobody's there doing that stuff to them, bro. And nobody's sticking up for their own business to being like, nah, I don't want to do this spot in here, bro. I don't think this is the way we do it. And we've been building with Britt Baker. Does this seem like any build to a payoff we should be having here? Just ridiculousness, bro. They're going to fail.
Beast. Thoughts on the tooth and nail inside the dentist office? You get that regularly at your office?
I can't say so. I just saw a clip of this. I meant to go back and watch the whole show. I got caught up working on a film project yesterday. But the last I saw of Britt Baker was she was injured. So is this her return match back? This was her big return?
Yeah, she's been in a wheelchair with a face guard on for fucking 10 weeks. And instead of building up anything, we're just going right to the fucking gimmick payoff.
Yeah, it seemed like this was shotgunned versus something that could have organically.
She's been one of the hottest things on their television. I mean, she's been phenomenal, completely away from the ring.
Yeah, away from the ring, because everything in the ring sucks. From the revival, sucks. Everything they've done is trash, bro. You know what didn't suck? The 2 girls who aren't on their roster last Wednesday who fucking showed you what you should be doing. Instead, we follow up with stab her in the fucking leg with a thing, and then we come back with a Sheeta match versus the girl who worked Wednesday and show you that she can work in a spot fest that was just ridiculous, meant nothing. So many, dude, the strong style fucking elbows looked so bad. All the finish was bad. It all meant zero. Meanwhile, Serena's going to get a shot at the NWA title because Nick Aldis was watching, the world was watching. None of those girls in the fucking AEW locker room can even lace Serena's boots, let alone keep up with her that way, bro. And she can lead them all to the promised land if they would just stop this stupid shit. And because they have the worst, it's the worst women's division in the history of wrestling.
Wow. And keep in mind that there is a SmackDown women's division
with talent to be able to give you a great one. How do you have a talent, even if they're green and whatnot, and then make them all look so terrible? It takes it's as much talent as WWE has in making black guys uncool. They're fucking phenomenal at it.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to try to succeed at it. It's how bad they are at it.
And when you shut the fuck up and get out of the way and let a Rip Rogers trained fucking OG go in there and pull 10, 12 minutes with somebody, then you get to see the difference. And you hear JR on camera 4 or 5 times putting it over. And now he has to go back and stab her in the fucking thigh with a needle. Which one of those matches do you think Khan and the team had influence in? It's pretty fucking blatant, dude, of every mistake they make. And then you show them the right way, and they go 180 degrees exact opposite, go back to stuck on stupid, and then they open themselves up to be ripped apart like shows on this and go, well, that's just our women's division. We've got the best women. No, you don't. They don't know what they're doing without somebody to lead them to the promised land.
So going back to Wednesday, is it just that they flew under the radar? And obviously Serena knows, hey, she puts this thing together. She knows the talent in Thunder Rosa. Did they just fly under the radar that no one kind of put their hands in there and muddied the water with the situation? And
it came that fast. So Deebs with Skrull's with the Bucks. The call comes. They need it. Deebs fucking shitting her pants because she's always like, I'm not prepared. Meanwhile, you look at her, she's got the best body on the fucking roster, and yoga practitioner and da. That's where me, Beast, and Jamin come in as the fucking support squad. You can do this. We know to do this, that, and the other. Me on the mic, hey, you want to do something different? Don't work 50-50. Don't do any spots. Go out there and wrestle. You think so? Yeah, Deeb, I do. Why? Because they're going to do 9,000 spots in every other match that mean nothing. What she do goes, and it's not me being like, I'm the one booking all this. But like, what does she do? She just needs to hear that. Go out and wrestle. What does she do? Does it? Blows up the internet, blows every match on that show Wednesday, aside from hers, was dog shit. That was a shitty AEW Dynamite show, except for Deeb and Thunder Rosa, not just because I'm super close with her, but go back and watch it. And then go watch the women's segments from the big 6.5 hour pay-per-view. Tell me what stands up and which way this should be going.
I guess it's the match of the week. Probably the match in extended memory for actual wrestling for AEW was last Wednesday. But even inside that, I mean, just the women's championship match, it was probably stacked up as one of the better ones on this show. And that just speaks to how lousy the show was all around. Speaking of JR, he's under in some hot water as the Social Justice Warriors are after him during the big 8-man tag team match. Anna Jay was involved in a spot, and JR remarked that he was kind of hoping for a wardrobe malfunction. And that set off the masses there. Hey, JR's like that because that cool grandpa, right? It was during the 8-man tag match. At All Out. So it is Cordona, Sky, and the Natural Nightmares of QT and Dustin taking on the Dark Order of Lee, Cabana, Uno, and Grayson. And you had Allie and Rhodes in the baby corner.
It was the 2 hot chicks that he was hoping for a wardrobe malfunction when they catfight.
Yeah, so Anna Jay gets involved in the situation, and it's just real quick in passing. Am I the only one that was hoping for a wardrobe malfunction? And he is getting hammered on social media for this thing. First of all, this isn't the first time that JR, and it seems too that he's even more so on social media. He's made some comments, about Sonny's fans only account. Are fans overreacting here, or does JR need to pull back a little bit?
Yeah, there's some not getting pussy motherfuckers. That's the AEW. They should have their home clique like that. Getting pussy motherfuckers. That should be their whole clique, because anybody the sexualization of it. Now I'm gonna do whatever on Twitter. That's how quick they'll take a guy who was, not given a job because he's Jim Ross, but they brought him in. His wife passed, and he's our grandfather. And then you turn on your grandfather at Thanksgiving. Get the fuck out of here, Grandpa! How dare you say some shit like that? Like, dude, all these pussy ass soy boys just need a straight kick in the fucking face. Every single one of them. Dude, we're human beings. JR has a libido. He's a man. He came from the Attitude Era. Now you just want him to turn it off when there's sexy hot chicks running around showing their ass, showing their cleavage, showing camel toe. But you better treat me like a woman because of this women's evolution. But hey, look at my snatch and go to my fucking OnlyFans 8x10s, and then they want to have it both ways, bro. Like these stupid ass worthless fans. Just to have some blast post when they should just shut the fuck up. Did what he said was off? Maybe a little bit, but like none of that was fucking like super salacious. That's saying, boy, I'd like to see that hot chick who's dressed in skin tight, everything naked, because she's playing the card of sexuality, but I sure can't acknowledge He acknowledged sexuality, everybody. Get him! Like... They can all just go fuck themselves. Every one of those fans.
Beast?
I mean, to me, the comment, like, I don't even, and maybe it's because of how, the era that I grew up in wrestling, I didn't even really see the comment, especially given all the things that we've seen have come out over this year in wrestling with all the allegations and everything. To me, this just seemed like it was just so minuscule in comparison. And I honestly didn't see, and again, maybe that's where I have a different opinion and attitude, and maybe mine isn't correct, but I didn't see it as being overly offensive in my opinion.
I actually I picked up on it when he made the comment. I chuckled and was like, any heterosexual male feels the same way, JR. It was a good spot. He makes a comment on it. They move on inside of the match. We actually get Dustin Rhodes picks up the big win for his team, and now he's going to be in line for a match this coming week against Brody Lee for the TNT Championship. A lot of the fans thinking this was one of the better matches of the night, but to me, this is where the card becomes overcrowded. I mean, this is a weekly television match, not a marquee event match.
We've got no payout out of this either. Like at the end, I don't know if they're listening to us and what I want him to do to break out Brody, but he starts kicking his own guys' asses. Colt never made it to the level that he should to be. The story with Colt is being brought in, changed, and now they're just ending that right there, which makes me believe that they're going off someplace with Brody, which I'm fine with if they're going to actually make him the star he should be. But the story should be what? You bring Colt Cabana in, you groom him, and then what happens?
Well, it should be where he becomes almost, we keep going back to that mafia mob mentality where he's almost going to take the reins, and you got that a power struggle at the top, correct?
You got it. Yeah. Are we even getting close to that story and those seeds along the way to where we're getting to Grandma's house? No, dude. They just cut it. Gone. The fight at the end looked real. Brody looks awesome. Colt's in great shape. I didn't mind the action in here in this 8-man. It did start to get clouded because we're already 3.5 hours into the show if you watch the pre-show. So things aren't really meaning anything. But yeah, dude, this was one of the ones, but it stood out because everything else is a ridiculous spot fest, and even this wasn't with the fucking body bag. That wasn't in this match.
Yeah, that was in the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was brutally bad too. And the big talk from there obviously is our good friend Matt Seidel. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, you also want to be, there is no such bad thing as wrestling press. If they're talking about you, that's a good thing. So even if he had a big botch where he wanted to do the shooting star press, I watched it back. Nobody hit the ring ropes, I don't think, in the opposite corner to shake him. He just looked like he was going to take off. And because guys were slick, oiled up or sweaty, he had a bad first step and just took a hella bump off the top rope. Go ahead, Beast.
But that's where, if we were booking a spot like that, like at OVW when I was working for there, like, that spot's coming up, and someone, at least what we would do is say, okay, before Matt comes out, someone needs to go over there and wipe the discreetly going off and doing that spot, because that's always a risk. So I never, now granted, you're not supposed to see it happen. So if it did happen and that happened, then so be it. But it does make me wonder if they did go and prepare the top rope for that spot, or if it was just neglected over. And that's where I don't know. But things like that can potentially be avoided if they know wrestler's going to come in and there's a bunch of sweaty bodies in the ring. It would behoove you to have someone wipe off the top rope. That was the first thing I thought when that happened, is who wiped off the top rope? Did they wipe off the top rope? And if not, then that's somewhat on AEW too, for not having the foresight to have someone do that. And that's where just having someone in there for these little quality control things can make all the difference in the world. And that's the thing that I saw. So I don't necessarily place that all on Matt either. It potentially could have been as simple as someone wipes the top rope down, and then we wouldn't have seen that happen.
I tell that to referee sideburns, and that's why AEW referees will continue to be among in my opinion, the worst in wrestling. Like I've seen just amateur upon amateur move from them. A great referee will come down with a towel, and before the match, make sure those ropes are wiped down. That's their part of their job, instead of let me get my stuff in and whoa, all these big sells they're trying to do. Like they're worried about that instead of what their job is, to ensure the safety of the performers that are in the ring as much as they can to help. And they're not, obviously. Seidel, I talked to him yesterday, just saying, hey man, glad to see you debut. To keep your head up, dude. Everybody knows that you can do things that nobody else can. I'd turn it into a rib. I'd have Seidel do 3 more matches right away, and every time he goes up to the top rope to hit that, what happens?
Confidence check, just not sure of himself.
And he gets cut off. Somebody hits the ropes, he crotches himself. It looks like he's about to go up and do it. Every time it gets botched until we get to the next pay-per-view.
Did a little shaky setup up there where he's unsure of himself, and
until he does what? Then he finally hits it
and wins a big match on it.
Face comes up, bro. So they're just like in improv, and I said this to him in Texas. I go, dude, there are no mistakes. Everything's a gift. Sure, that might put you on the radar in a kind of embarrassing, my face is red kind of way. But guess what everybody's talking about? They're talking about 2 things out of the pay-per-view, Matt Hardy and Matt Seidel. So, Team Concussion, maybe. I don't know, whatever you want to put them together, the Mats. But that's the reality is, even though it wasn't the prettiest thing, we've seen Matt Seidel do 1,000 fucking shooting star presses clean as a whistle. It's the one that you don't that sticks out, right? Now let's use that as a gift in the storyline to help push him forward.
I guess, too, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're gonna put yourself over the most. So that's the way he's got to approach the thing.
Any of you A plus listeners out there, you great wrestling fans, please feel free to go up 5 feet in the air and send us your videos of your best shooting star presses. I can't wait to see them. I'm sure they're all gonna and when you can do 10 out of 10, boy, that's gonna be a great video. So please feel free to forward those, because you guys know how easy it is to do a shooting star press. You've done it so many times off the top rope. I mean, Matt Seidel, who is he? I mean, you guys are better than him.
And from the Tony Khan school of thought, no crash pads while you're doing that.
No, dude, why would you? That would just show that you're a huge pussy. You got to get right out there off your picnic table and start showing people how fucking good you are at shooting star presses. Really,
Dr. Ted does not endorse this message. But real quick, though, before you get on the next
one, I'm sending people your way. You're going to have a lot of neck injuries to deal with, lower back, probably a couple chipped elbows. Please, you guys get out there, send me a video.
You're just trying to get me work. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
No, but going back to that point, and while something real that happens in the ring, I mean, I understand what you mean about everything is a gift, but to that point, because the thing like with the Matt Hardy situation, or we saw a few weeks back when Johnny Gargano had a scare in the ring with Ridge Holland in the match. The point I want to make with that is we work so hard in wrestling as wrestlers to be able to give the sense of realism in what we do. So why not, when something real happens, again, not that we want it to happen, but why would you not say, okay, we're going to scrap our pre-planned bullshit and we're going to focus on this because this is real and this is compelling television. You know what I mean? Like if when Matt Hardy got hurt, they said they showed them doing the concussion protocol. Is Matt going to be able to finish? Like to me, that would be much more compelling as a viewer to just show the real thing and show AEW taking care of their athletes, because that's also going to be, good, not necessarily good PR, but that as a wrestling entity, you care about your athletes, and then that can work into part of the story. They talked about how they booked themselves in the corner. No, they didn't. There was a non-finish, and then it comes to have Guevara come out the next week, talk about he ended Matt Hardy's career, and then there's controversy because he never really beat him. The match had to be stopped because he got injured, and same thing with the Johnny Gargano Ridge Holland thing. Now, fortunately, as much as I don't necessarily want to give the WWE credit, at least they took the time to stop and make sure he was okay before letting them finish. But the part that I didn't get is, why would they go out there and wrestle for 10 more minutes when they could have spent the time showing them with Johnny Gargano, checking him out, making sure he's okay, and then working that straight into the finish. So I think the finish with that match was he cheated to win. So it could have been as simple as you spend all that time they were doing their spots of the announcers very, going quiet and talking through this and making sure he's okay. People at home watching, compelled to make sure he's okay. And then they do the finish where, say, Ridge Holland goes to help him up. I think Candice LeRae was the distraction. She says, "Get the fuck off my husband. You don't touch him." And then bam, he kicks him in the nuts. That's the finish. Mm. How much more heat would have that been than them doing a bunch of spots and then doing that finish anyway? You know what I mean? And it's like just simple changes as that. And I think that should be the standard in wrestling. If someone really gets hurt, work it legitimately. Let him legitimately or her legitimately get checked out. And then if they end up okay while you're sitting there working it, you can talk and come up with the finish. It turned out you're okay. Okay, let's keep working it. We want the ill to fuck over the babyface here. Or vice, well, not necessarily vice versa, but, working into something that goes into a heat spot if they end up being okay. That's where working it's the name of the game. And I feel like each year that passes, we get further and further away from learning how to work and more so trying to figure out what kind of pre-planned bullshit is going to compel more people to watch when you have something that is real and legitimate and much more compelling than the 99.9% of things that we can come up with as our own pre-planned bullshit, as Rip would say.
Was Britt Baker even remotely over as a shimmer shine Adam Cole's chick, like that they signed because they're buddies? Like that's the reason why. Not that she doesn't have skills, but then on the mic, but then they have her wrestling, and she gets hurt because they're green and they're stupid, and they do these Kenny Omega New Japan wrong style spots because he's the one who is agenting this, and he thinks he can get them over by having girls do wrong style. Mainly, in the reality is most of them don't even know how to lock up properly. They just don't. These shine, shimmer, tape trader, masturbator girls that they got from the Berwyn Eagles Club. That's 90% of their roster. And now Chris Statlander, out based off of ignorance and doing spots that aren't simple and not protecting each other because they think it's a video game. Britt Baker out because of the exact same thing by the SJW favorite transgender that we have to all agree is a woman, even though she's got a cock. Like all of these fucking things that are just like, you're going to take this. Then when does Britt Baker get over?
Well, up there in the injury when they're
during the 8 weeks where she's not in the ring, she's doing character. Everything is comedy based. Everything is getting over on commentary. Not one wrestling move. So that should tell you what gets over.
And it's exactly as Beast was just laying out there. They're playing to the reality of the situation.
Exactly.
They're playing to the injury.
Why not play into the character? Why not even make it's super serious where we could play it up that Matt really is hurting in traction. And now Sammy breaks out of that shit to go, fuck, I really just hurt this guy I had a lot of respect for. Screw the inner circle phony stuff. Sammy's going to be at Matt's bedside for the next 2 weeks, sleep there at the hospital because of what he did. You know what I mean? So give us reality and give us scene work, especially Matt Hardy can deliver it. Of course he can, instead of these idiotic spots that are only going to hurt people further, that do nothing except go, well, I wonder what they're going to do Wednesday next. Story and character is everything. Britt Baker's wrestling, trash before she got hurt. Now she should wrestle every match she should wrestle. She should be scared to get hit in the face. She should be scared of her knee and not worrying about being strong. She should be a Disco Inferno type character, bro. And that's why Disco can still wrestle to this day, because he doesn't do dumb shit Japanese style where people are going to fall on his leg because we got to get from one spot to the next. Will she learn? I don't know. I hope so.
Well, then you mentioned Kenny Omega. Speaking of the cleaner, no longer one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions, as him and Hangman Page dropped the titles to the FTR, who was escorted to the ring there by Tully Blanchard. This match goes just under 30 minutes. When I saw the time, I thought it was much longer. This thing felt like it was going on for an eternity. I was turned off into this thing about 15 minutes in. False finish after false finish. You get to the point where you lose it here. And at this point, we're already, 5 hours into this marathon for AEW. We're talking about how the absolute just disastrous runs inside of the ring here. Beast, thoughts on this match?
Which one was it again?
We're talking about the tag team match, tag team championship.
Unfortunately, as much as I'm embarrassed to say, I did not get a chance to catch it. I did hear it was an epic match in that it was a long match, but I haven't had a chance.
You'd have been hot 15 minutes in.
Really?
No cells, the shit they're working, and then it's all to get to this next spot. We work heat, and then everybody's fine to go back and forth. 43. I watched the UFC pay-per-view. It was 28 minutes, fucking bell to bell, and they were. I flipped back. I go, these cocksuckers are still wrestling, bro. This storyline about chocolate milk and a goddamn cooler that you bought at Wawa. This is where we're at. And remember, he's not the one that made you turn. Tell him who made you turn. That was the big thing from Wednesday. And then a 43-minute payoff that means nothing. When Kenny Omega should be a solo guy and should be on top, marginalized fully. We're throwing drinks in the face of fucking Page, and he's not getting any retribution with the Bucks and just taking it. And then the Revival going into business for themselves multiple times, just being Tully and Arn marks and saying, we got to wait, follow this. We're about to pull 40 minutes. Nobody out here can pull 40 minutes. And 90% of the shit they did meant nothing. And going into the finish, you know what people thought on the finish? Thank God this fucking match is over. Not, Revival run. They're like, Jesus Christ, 43 minutes? Ugh.
It was a sense of relief, because at the time, as you said, Ben, this thing could have gone 15. And we probably have a much different take on it.
If you're really good wrestlers, this is what I don't get. This is from Rip Rogers and in the OVW bubble. Respect to Man Beast and Power to be able to pull an hour. But if you can't and here's my wrestling psychology. If it takes you an hour to beat a guy, you're not that good. If you beat me in 8 minutes, you're good. If I beat you in 8 minutes, I'm strong. I'm fucking good. To go that long and of a distance shows me that you can't close and you're not that tough a motherfucker. I get pissed off in UFC when I'm betting and I think the guy should be knocking this dude out in the second round and it goes 5 rounds. You're not a closer, bro. You're not a killer. And on the mic, when you're hyping yourself up, I'm a killer. I'll beat him. Well, it took you an hour and you couldn't beat him. I beat him in 8 minutes. So who the fuck is better? And in the wrestling world, guys go, I can go Broadway. I can go an hour. Well, I can make the same money, if not more than you, and only have to work 7 minutes. So who's the fucking dumbass who takes all these bumps for some pat on the back from the boys? That shit don't impress me that much most of the time.
It goes back to one thing Stevie always says when he was in the Rumbles. He wanted to get in there, get the hell out of there.
It's not like, oh, Stevie, you got thrown out in 19 seconds. We're going to have to cut your pay by half. That don't happen. I got thrown out in 19 seconds. Now I'm back off in my car. My back doesn't hurt. I'm not all fucked up. I didn't have to take 16 turnbuckles from some dumbasses in Chicago who only wrestle once a year and fuck me up. You know what I mean? 19 seconds, bro. Oh, and I get to do my emotion. 19 seconds. God damn it. And then I go to the back. Well, payday. Easy.
I remember Revolver and we actually did a match for ICP at the Gathering of the Juggalos, and they put us in a death match battle royal. And they said the last however many people in the match get to use death match weapons. The pay was the same whether or not we got eliminated early or we stuck around. So we made sure within the first couple minutes we eliminated each other and walked to the back and watched as the rest of the guys proceeded to just kick the ever-living shit out of each other.
Boy, but don't those guys remember it is the greatest moment of their life? Do you guys, you remember when I was one of the last 4 in the deathmatch battle royal and you put thumbtacks through the side of my face? Oh, and there was 75 people there. Oh man, that was the fucking mania moment that I've been dreaming of.
Oh shit,
dude, it just kills me. Like the ego. Not to say that working Broadway isn't an unbelievable skill, but these guys did it for nothing more than to go follow that one 45 minutes.
well, I would say the benefit of being able to do that isn't so much to go out there and prove we can do this. It's the value of having someone like that on your full time. You can continue to pull time, not just we're going to go and showcase. Now, I do think in certain situations it works when you have like you've told the story over years. Like for instance, I think with like Shawn Michaels and Brett, they had told them over the years who's better than who, and each of them were these elite caliber athletes that could beat their opponents in quicker time. But when they came to face each other, it took a lot longer for them to be able to come out with a winner. And same thing, like if you watch a movie, like they built up the Avengers, and it took the course of 2 movies and 6 hours for the Avengers team to beat Thanos, but because they had context and it meant something, not just because we're bringing in someone out of the blue and just randomly. Well, what emotional context have you built into that story to make people care about that 45 minutes of wrestling and not just doing it for the sake of doing it? To me, that's the difference. Do you have emotional context and a good story that makes it worth that time, or are you just doing it just to do it because you think people are going to say, wow, I got to watch the 40-minute match, hooray?
Maybe you didn't hear me earlier when I said chocolate milk is the big. That's the big.
Well, there you go.
Well, I mean, that's the one that drove or chalk. If you're inside the AEW terms, that means you're really cool when you call it chocolate milk chalk. Yeah, guys, we got them 45 minutes. Let's pull it. Like the fact that Revival thinks they're up here and that everybody else is an indie goof, and then would look at a card that's 6 hours long and go, bro, probably not a good idea for us to pull 45 minutes. They're not going to like our match. They're going to be way overblown. If I saw that on a card, I'm going to go, we're doing fucking 12 with entrances. And we're going to go over strong because we're the Revival and we should look that way. And we got Tully Blanchard in our corner. And then let's triple that. We'll go right into the Battle Royal. Shawn Spears, no black glove. 5th restart. 5th fucking thing for Shawn Spears. Probably the best worker you actually have on your fucking roster, to be honest with you. Up there with Jericho. Spears can deliver at that level. 5th restart. Didn't even have him with Tully. Are you kidding me, bro? That's what this E-Fed daddy's boy is capable of, bro.
Well, not a big fan on chocolate milk, and we are talking about Jericho there, but I could enjoy a few mimosas today. Let's talk about the mimosa, a historic first ever mimosa mayhem match. Orange Cassidy, Jericho came in this past week on his podcast, was singing the praises of Cassidy, wanted to make a star. Did he accomplish this here? Is Orange now elevated to the ultimate level in AEW? He goes over by tossing the demo guide into the batch of the bubbly and the OJ to pick up the win. This match goes 15-15. So at least they didn't have us out there for an overdrawn period of time. Beast, did you get to see this one?
I saw the finish. I thought the finish looked cool, but other than that, unfortunately I can't provide any context for the match itself. I heard a lot of people online apparently did not care for it, at least what I read. But as far as being able to give I guess an opinion on it, I wasn't sure. I assume both of you guys, did you get a chance to see it?
He's got them on the outside. They're working heat by these big pools. And Jericho picks him up and he could power bomb him easily into the pool. Instead, he's just like, no, 3 feet away. I'll just power bomb him on right next to the pool and not win the match. It's things like that are just con 101, A+. I don't get it. And even then, what's the real payoff here is what's the business we want to see at the end of this match, RBV?
Well, I was going to go to a point that you mentioned there, Benny, talking about, because I even noticed that as well, because it's like, okay, Jericho, just toss him in. And now he's throwing him like, oh, there's a table 3 feet over here. I'll use that.
No.
What really got me is on the commentary is the match is getting going. Excalibur throws out the question to JR. What is the mindset of Chris Jericho? Do you try to end this quickly, or do you toy with Orange Cassidy? And JR saying, no, Jericho is too smart of a pro. He knows to get this over with quickly.
Sorry.
Well, extreme.
Yeah, I mean, so it's already there. maybe it was intentional that they set that up there, but you're obviously pointing out that Jericho is either overconceited or just stupid in his logic and how he's
making him look stupid. How do you make the greatest wrestler of all time possibly, look stupid in a match? Well, here it is. The object is to throw him into a big vat of orange juice because that's hilarious. A mimosa, excuse me, and fucking we're right here 2 feet away from it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get my shit in on a power bomb and get all this extra spot stuff in because we got to pull 20 minutes and get spots, you guys. Instead of what? The whole struggle should be pull him, stop, reverse, get his head down there, pull back, thumb to the eye, grab a handful, splash it in his face. God damn it, it hurts. Sell away. He walks off the edge of the fucking ramp, and then you hit him with the body, a crossbody, so you're away from it. Yeah. The whole thing is the struggle of getting him, and that's what we fuck up in Royal Rumbles too. In this Battle Royal, what's the object of a Royal Rumble, Battle Royal?
Throw your opponent over the top.
And what do they do 90% of the time in these fucking matches?
Punch him in the corner.
They hit a move and fucking put the guy on the mat. I got to get my shit in with a stunner and a cutter. Now what do you have to do?
Pick him up.
You got to pick the cocksucker up, throw him over. Way harder to pick a 300 guy up off the ground and throw him over the top rope than it is to use momentum, clothesline him, or do a struggle. But they can't even work the match, the gimmick of the match the right way. They have to get their shit in while everybody stays small. Hey, I was just fighting, but now I'm on my knees so everybody can see this spot that everybody's got to get in instead of working the gimmick of the match and getting the guy over the top rope. Instead of getting the guy in the fucking pool, I got to do a power bomb, super kick, fucking duck one, tilt-a-whirl, snake. It's to show him selling on there while the pool that I could have won is 3 feet away with nothing in between us but air and opportunity. I don't understand how guys like Jericho, Matt Hardy are allowing these types of choices to happen. It boggles me. Shock me.
You're talking about like the logic of the big men inside of a battle royal. I remember I pitched this to at Battle on the Border not too long ago when the shows were running. Our biggest guy, our super heavyweight, who is the biggest heel, has all this heat on him. I even suggested, I said, why doesn't he just go in there and we just have him lay down in the middle of the ring? Let him get beat up, people kick him, whatever, but you got to pick his big old ass up and throw him out. I mean, that's...
Why wouldn't you? If you're a 450-pounder, that's what I'd do.
Right.
If I was my boy Super Beast, I'd sit right on the second turnbuckle and be like, come on, you want to fight me? We'll fight here, but it's going to take 5 of you guys to get me the fuck over here. And if you knock me down to the ground, you better get the forklift driver who tried to kill Roman Reigns to come in here and pick me up, dude, because that's the only way it goes against the psychology of the match fully. And I watched that at OVW when WWE changed from like, all right, we know who the last 4 are going to be. Here's the spots that you need to do, to this video game bullshit. Oh, here comes Kofi. Everybody get down and stay small so Kofi and Morrison can do their whole whoop, wop, whoop. And then we'll get back up instead of the old days of just like guys squaring off, fighting, trying to get over the top rope. Will he go? Whoa, no, he won't. Sean skins the cat, comes back in. That's putting over the match and the gimmick. Anything that then when you're in one of these type of matches, from Battle Royal to Mimosa, if you're not doing everything you can to get the guy over the top rope or put him in the drink, then you're not serving the art. You're not serving the match of how you're supposed to be working something. Well, it's only about you.
Inside of this rubber match here, Orange Cassidy takes match 3.
At least at any point, did Jericho put him in the walls and try to drag him over? That would have been a cool spot.
Nope. And I wanted to get to this. So Jericho is going to lose because he has to, because the payoff wouldn't be, it's obviously Orange Cassidy's match, so the other guy has to lose. But what do we want to see when Jericho loses in the pool?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to see like the complete mockery of Jericho, right? The over exaggeration.
Yeah, still going crazy. What did Jericho do when he lost?
Pretty much nothing.
He laid in the pool like this.
Yeah, he just kind of laid out and just did the lazy river act.
Lazy, dude. Instead of the slapping it and it's going everywhere and he's covered in it, whipping his hair around. I was shocked at that.
I was expecting him to go like into a screaming pulp free, and start blaming that he had pulp in his eye or something.
Yeah, we got the whole thing is not to get him in there and just have the win. It's to see the flip out afterwards and the temper tantrum, right? And then Jericho should get out and do what? Even if you're going to overbook it, and the ref comes over and fucking gives him the towel to like wipe his eyes off. What should he do then?
I mean, then you go into, where he's blinded or whatever.
And he grabs
kind of action with it.
Trips and he falls, and what happens?
Oh, God, I don't want to go back and revisit.
No, I'm overbooking. Then the ref falls into the fucking thing with him, too. You know what I mean? And the ref sloshing.
I mean, hell, at that point, you could have Schiavone coming out trying to get a word with Jericho, and Tony's going into
finish. That's the finish, bro. And they just don't even get close. The whole business of this match is Jericho flipping out in a fucking big vat of mimosa at the end. We got a mimosa. We got no flip out. We got no slapstick comedy ref spot. We got no overbooking after that. So really, this whole match was just for Jericho to lay in a big hot tub full of fucking mimosa.
Isn't your visual there what should be your payoff? As you're saying there, Ben, you've got Jericho ultimately embarrassed. He's flipping out. You got him going crazy, splashing around in the pool. And then you look up and you get that in the background. You just have Orange giving you the thumbs up because he's cool. He's calm, collective. That's his whole gimmick.
If you really wanted to even go farther, I don't know how deep those pools were. I might not go off the top rope. But afterwards, and they get Jericho out there and Orange is just like thumbs up, you know what I mean, as he goes to the back. Orange could turn, look sideways, go to the top rope, go over on the other side where the other vat was, and do what?
Just dive on in. Hey, I'll take the plunge.
Cannonball. He cannonballs into it. It splashes everybody in the front row. You're getting stung by bees and shit on the way home because you're covered in orange juice. Like, that's how you overbook and get the gimmick of the actual match over. The whole match is about 2 pools of mimosa, and you couldn't have gotten less of a payoff out of like the actual finish here, bro.
Well, let's talk about the match that seemed to have the majority excited for this. The big movement, the 2020 Your Champion MJF movement comes up just short against Jon Moxley. This thing comes down to heading into the match. Moxley was banned from using the paradigm shift. Ends up picking up the win with the paradigm when the heels cheating backfires on him. This thing goes 23-40, and in my opinion, just greatly under-delivers.
Way too long again. 16 minutes tops with entrances. MJF getting color and things along those lines and looking beat up. And they worked some old school, but then they worked, dude, I hate things like that. I hate this spot. The fucking be on your knees. They worked all that heat. They're bloody. They're beaten. Now we're going to get on our knees and just punch each other back and forth. Dude, that's CZW indie rottenness 101. That is one of the worst spots. And they're no selling while they're doing it too. Just coming back in and punching each other in the face. RBV, I guarantee if you let me right hook you in the face, you're not going to take it off and go, you pussy, and then hit me back. You're probably going to get buckled, so just more amateur stuff. That this is where I think a worker like MJF, who is young and gets it, lays down for Moxley wanting to put stuff in that he's like, this is go over in CCW in Japan, we should do this, and it kills their match, and it kills the way that MJF works old school, and it makes things not believable. And then MJF probably should have gone over here if you were really going to do something, but I'm kind of glad he didn't, because we're at the end of a 6-hour pay-per-view and it would have been meaningless. I've been in these spots before on indie shows where I'm working with the promoter and I go, dude, we cannot have another 3.5-hour show. The show must come in under 2.5 hours. 3 hours, 45 minutes later, main event's up. GGP and Hameen go out there and do the business, the main event business. Guess what? Half of my crowd is gone. They've already taken their kids home because it's too late. We're going on at 11. The show started at 7. Fucking the crowd's worn out and they don't care about indie business. This is that exact same style of terrible booking. And it doesn't shock me who's on top, who makes these decisions that way.
The key is you want to give the fans enough to feel they got their money's worth, but never want to give them so much that they feel like, that was too much, that they're exhausted afterwards. You want to leave them wanting more. And to me, that's the key to really creating a quality show is to give them just enough to make them feel like, holy shit, that was great. I want to see more, and not so much like, well, okay, I've had my fill of wrestling for a while now. You know what I mean? You never want people to walk away to feeling that way.
Yeah, how many matches are left? 4. All the best matches are left. I got to get my kid home by 9. I can't have my 8-year-old out past 9 o'clock. Like, that's the level that bad indie promoters think of. They're not thinking of that, and we're trying to school them, and they continue to make wrong decisions. It's happening on TV here.
I think it's one thing that's made NXT so hot for so long is they know how to do that with the takeovers. Even if it's a mediocre card, you're going to get action for 2.5 hours. You're in and out. You know what to expect. It's laid out for you there. The first run on All Out here, I mean, getting through that tag team championship match, I fell asleep just at the beginning of the Mimosas match and completely missed the main event. I had to go back and rewatch those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to watch main event the next day. I was burnt. I was way burnt out, bro.
Now, is this to kind of flip the coin and put ourselves in the shoes of the promoters, and in this case, Khan and AEW? Are they thinking, hey, we've got to go over the top for the value because they are working more under the traditional pay-per-view system where they do want you to fork out, I don't know what this one was, maybe $30, $40, $50, as opposed to where the WWE's got you for that $9.99. Hey, we got to over-deliver. We don't run them every month. We only got these 4 or 5 marquees. We got to make them bigger events. Is that their mindset? It's just backfiring?
If you just spent $50 on that, how are you feeling about spending $50 on the next one?
I'm not. I'm going to say, you know what? I spent $50. I'm drained. I wasted my Saturday evening. I'm out next time.
WatchWrestling.LA. VIPbox.NU. Why would you give them money for a subpar product over and over again?
Gentlemen, any closing overall thoughts, maybe advice for AEW going forward? Just real quick, general, close it out with bring it home on.
Don't take it personally. Follow me on Twitter, Tony Khan. DM me because you need a big brother. These guys are just picking at you, and you have a lot of learning left to do like 3 to 5 years of learning. 2CW management, OVW management of guys who would be probably not on your radar because we're not on the PWI 500 because we don't give a shit about what Mike Johnson says, but we actually know how to do business. I've produced Young Bucks. I've produced half your roster already, and I've done it with my co-writers, co-bookers, and other promoters. And you can ask them. You can ask Bucks. You can ask AJ. You can ask Kenny where they have the most fun, where things were the most real, raw, and organic. And until you bring us on your team and you keep surrounding yourself with guys who are going to take nibbles out of your wallet and tell you that everything you're doing is wonderful. And then when you get the feedback, you're like, why? I thought everything was wonderful. Until you bring us on to be your consiglieres, nothing will change, and none of your guys will get over, and none of them will do anything to stop that payday that's coming in. So if you really want the best product, it's Josh Jenneray, Steve King, myself, Stevie Richards, Ted the Man Beast, and Adam Revolver. And anything short of that is going to keep yielding the results where people will be tearing you down because you've already hit the top of your mountain. If you're going to continue on this path, and now you're on the backside where people want to kick you in the ass on the way down and say, I told you so. So if you want to change that course and really compete, that's really your only way to go at this point. You've exercised all other options.
To add to that, Ben, real quick, we can also keep it in the family, get your brother a job. There's a media movement that's trying to get the league to step in and have the Cons removed from from ownership at Jacksonville because of their failures there in that franchise.
Why would you see what bad behaviors are? Nobody ever really corrects them because they can't humble themselves. So they just keep reinforcing and repeating them. It's bruise touching 101. Ow, why does this hurt? Ow, why does this hurt? Ow, why does this hurt? Don't keep pressing that bruise. let's heal and do something the right way. But egos are insulate that wrestling bubble. And who the fuck are those guys? They were never on PWI 500. They were never on the WWE. Oh, he got his head shaved by CM Punk. Do you think he can get his Punk? Does he have Punk's number? Oh, well, maybe we can get him on our show. Like, it's got to be a clean sweep, bro. And the same thing I've heard is happening with this side project with Stephen Amell and Cody too. More of the same.
Beast.
I mean, to echo what Ben said, I mean, we're not hard to find, especially as it relates to the health and wellness aspect. I'm going to throw my name in that ring as well. You know, I just want to see better. I want to see better for our wrestlers. I want to see them be able to have as long a careers as possible, and I want to see them have the quality of life that they deserve when they're ready to retire. And you know, I think having more, I guess, working for the fans, as well as working for your roster, and not working for how can we, in the short term, try to make as quick a money as possible, because that's never going to lead to the best outcomes, including you're actually going to, in the long run, restrict yourself from being able to make as much money than if you took more time to invest in your talent and invest in their welfare.
Very well said. I guess for myself, to AEW, I would never want to work for you because I would want to blow my brains out working in that social justice.
I don't say that. Don't say those words. You definitely want to work for them, but you also want to be weary, dude. That's people like, I know that's easy to say. I don't want to jump on you like that, but like, we want to work for them. We're overcritical and irate. I get irate sometimes because of what could be and what isn't even close to becoming. And it's not because of just like I have to armchair quarterback things. It's like, look at the amount of money you're leaving on the table, how you're misusing these guys for your own fan enjoyment of what you think they should be, as opposed to getting max value. Because FTR don't know. They don't have any idea either, bro. They don't have any idea how to get themselves over or be used properly. All those guys I mentioned that should come on would have those dudes as the top stars they should be. You can't just make a group and go, it's the new Four Horsemen. Everybody like it, everybody. It's going to flop, and you're going to hurt the legacy of the original Four Horsemen because they don't know how to do it. And even with the guys there who are in the crew, and you're not using them to the most of their ability. So it's a cluster, but never short yourself on a paycheck, RBV. Always say, yeah, I'll come in and do business. And then when you do it better than everybody else and they run you out of town because you're a threat, well, that's something else altogether. But get your money, bro.
There we go. We're learning. Well, gentlemen, that's all we got for the headlines on this.
Well, speaking of
Monday locker room,
well, I wanted to share. I have something special for Ben Hameen here on this Labor Day. I got a very interesting message the other day. I'll let you all hear it.
Hold on, I think
the man beast, if that's a real thing. But if a man thinks, if a man beast was a real thing, you are not a man beast. You are actually the opposite of a man beast. You don't look like a man beast. You don't look like intimidating. You look like an ordinary guy, bro. You look like a guy who should be in IT or something.
And I reached out because this is the same man who has reached out to you, Ben. And you know what I realized more than anything is, honestly, he's right. And at the end of the day, he just is wanting the best for you, Ben Hameen. So I think it's time that you finally got your just desserts. I know you don't like us to bring this guy up on the air. You've shown that more than anyone, this guy's gotten under your skin, but he's right. And Ben, this might get me fired. This might be my last day, but I feel you more than anyone have to hear this. And that's why, as you can see, I sent you a link, and I took the time to reach out to this gentleman and have an exclusive interview. And it's something that you yourself have to hear, as well as all of the listeners here at Hameen Media. This day of reckoning is here. It's right.
I don't even want to say his name. I haven't said his name because I don't want to sell for him.
Well, maybe it's because you're being a bitch. Maybe you need to stand up to the challenge. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a fat bitch. All right, here's the link. Let me see. Fuck. Share screen. What the fuck? Oh my God, I can't believe this is even a fucking thing.
It's a long time coming, Ben.
You might get fired after this, depending on what the fuck goes on here. Ben Hameen exposed. Oh, awesome. Just what I wanted. Y'all. All right. You've been asking for him to dox him. His name's Tyler Davis on Instagram. Let's see what this fucking asshole.
Ooh.
Holy shit, I can't believe this.
Y'all are Ted.
Hey, y'all
Y'all
are.
are Ted.
How are you doing, Tyler?
You know what, Ted? I was doing great. Woke up in a great mood, Ted. Then I got pissed off because my coach Roger Hameen is a fat piece of crap. And it just pissed me off. Now I'm pissed off, Ted. Other than that, Ted, I'm feeling great. Apologies for the wait. My bad. Should have been better organized. But yeah, needed to find a spot with better internet connection.
No, that's perfectly okay, man. I'm glad to have you here. What's probably going to be my last podcast interview because I'm sure I'm probably going to get fired for this, but you more than anyone has gotten under Ben Hameen's skin. He's actually told all the producers at Hameen Media not to bring you up. He doesn't want to talk about you. You've actually really pissed him off, and so I thought it was appropriate. If I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory, I wanted to have you be the one to, because he doesn't know this. I've actually hacked his YouTube page and I've hacked his Podbean page, and so everything that you're about to say to Ben is going to go on those pages, and he's going to hear it directly. And so you have the floor to say whatever you want. And I guess the first thing I want to ask is why do you hate Ben Hameen so much?
I hate Ben Hameen because he's a fat piece of crap. He's lazy. He's a culture vulture. His whole gimmick is based on a culture which is not his. He's a fat piece of shit, which pisses me off. He's at risk for heart disease. He's at risk of diabetes, and they don't give a f***. His response is to keep eating pizzas, to keep eating donuts like a fat piece of crap. That's what he is. He's Carmen Hameen. He's a wannabe. He's a phony, and he's a hypocrite. He makes fun of people for being fat. He calls Bruce Pritchard fat, and now he's at risk for heart disease. He talks shit about Nia Jax. But if you put Nia Jax in the spandex, if you put Ben Hameen in the spandex, Nia Jax will look better than Ben Hameen, the fat piece of crap he is. Him being fat pisses me off. Him being a conspiracy theorist proves to me, prove to the world, but he's a real. He got no grades in school. He's an idiot. He's a conspiracy horse. He made Vince Russo turn into the greatest writer in the world. Being a conspiracy theorist, just like Ben Hameen. And that's all I got to say about that, really. I just think he's a piece of crap. I hate Ben Hameen. I hate how he's fat. And I hate how lazy he is.
So I wanted to bring up a point you made. So you said Vince Russo, he used to be really good. And then Ben Hameen, you feel he's corrupted Vince Russo?
So can you say that one more time?
Yeah,
please?
that's no problem. You said Vince Russo used to be a good writer, and then he got to. Did you feel Ben Hameen has corrupted Vince Russo, and that's why Vince Russo can't write as good as he used to?
So Vince Russo, my opinion, the greatest writer of all time. I listen to his show regularly because I find great content. One of my favorite podcasts out there. Since Ben Hameen has joined him, I noticed that Vince Russo is more of a retard now. Unfortunately, I'm claiming that even though he didn't know Vince Russo back in the 90s, I'm claiming the reason why he left WWF because he knew he would meet Vince. He knew he'd meet Ben Hameen, which ruined his career. I think Ben Hameen has made Vince Russo into a parody. I think Vince Russo should retire right now because Ben Hameen has ruined Vince Russo. I think Stevie Richards will still have a job at WWE if it weren't for Ben Hameen. Ben Hameen's ruined his life. I feel that you, Ted, had great potential. You probably still do. I can tell you're not a retard like the rest, but I feel like you being with Ben Hameen has slowed down your progress for years. I'm glad that you saw the light. And I'm just concerned about all of Ben Hameen's fans. I'm concerned that he's going to make all of his fans retarded, just like Ben Hameen, and that is my concern. My mission is to reach to all of these people, to reach all of these fans who he hasn't made into retards, or maybe they're already retards fans, which he's got. I want to reach to them and make sure that they don't end up like Ben Hameen. That's all I want to do. That is my life purpose. Not my life purpose, because I'm bigger than that. But I just honestly think Vince Russo is a spastic, a retard, a reject, and a fat crap. And it pisses me off.
That's all because of Ben Hameen. So Vince Russo and Stevie Richards would be far more successful right now, probably be millionaires if they didn't have Ben Hameen holding them down.
Stevie Richards would be a 10-time world heavyweight champion the highest earning WWE champion of all time, the greatest wrestler of all time, if it went for Ben Hameen to hold him down, to make him into a retard, a conspiracy theorist, which he now is, unfortunately, due to Ben Hameen. But Stevie Richard, he still has hope. Stevie Richard comes across as a great guy. I think he's a great guy. He still has hope. Ben Hameen, however, he's a bloodsucker. He's a negative person. And I'm concerned about the impact which Ben Hameen is leaving on these people. Ben Hameen is a fraud. That's what he is. He really wants to be in a company. He really wants to make it to WWE. He always makes fun of Vince McMahon undeservedly. And you know one thing with Ben Hameen, my other gripe about Ben Hameen, two things. I think he always talks about his 400 wives. He never talks about the age of his 400 wives. His 400 wives is probably all under the age of 12. I'm calling this out right now. Ben Hameen's a pedo.
Wow.
He's got all of these rights against their will. Also, not only is Ben Hameen a pedo, by the way, I have nothing against homosexuals, nothing against one of my best friends homosexual, but I'm also like to put it out there, Ben Hameen is a closet homosexual. He always makes fun of Vince McMahon because he wants to get to the company. He wants to suck Pat Patterson's. He really wants all of that because he's a closet homo, and he doesn't want to admit it. Ben Hameen, we're in 2020. There's nothing wrong with being a homo, and that's what you are, Ben. You are a homo. You're hiding in the closet about it.
Yeah, you're basically saying there's nothing wrong with being a homosexual, but he needs to stop pretending like he's not one and just come out of the closet.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And what pisses me off to the fact, how he represents the Asian culture, the Middle Eastern culture. He's a top culture vulture. He's a parody of them lot. He's making fun of them lot. That's what he's doing. He's so fat. He's at risk of diabetes. And if you know, all the ethnic minorities, they tend to have a higher level of diabetes, probably because they're a fat crap like Ben Hameen. But it just makes me sick. Like a guy like Ben Hameen represents them, and people like me is not going to stand for that. I'm not going to stand for that. Ben Hameen is corrupt. Ben Hameen is a fraud. Ben Hameen's Cartman Hameen. That's what he is.
You use the term culture vulture. I'm trying to understand that basically means you're saying his Middle Eastern gimmick is killing that culture?
The Middle Eastern gimmick is killing that culture. He's a culture vulture because he can't get over being himself. Matter of fact, Ted, Ben Hameen is not happy being right. He doesn't want to be right. He doesn't want to identify himself as being right. There's nothing wrong with being right. There's nothing wrong with being any color, any culture. What Ben's doing is infiltrating all these people's cultures, turning it into a parody. That's what he's doing, and it makes me sick. Ben Hameen is the reason why humanity is going downhill, all because of Ben Hameen. Only because Ben Hameen always talks about this generation, my generation, calling us the generation of soy boys, a generation of bitch. Look how fat he is. Do you know what that means when you're so fat? You got them bitch things like Ben Hameen. It means you got lower levels of testosterone. Ben Hameen has got low levels of testosterone. That's what he is. He's a soy boy himself. He's a bitch himself. He's a troll himself. What does he do every Wednesday? He goes on Master Shoot Theatre and trolls Vince McMahon. Yeah, he makes fun of all of these trolls. When he's a troll himself, he's a hypocrite. He's fat, and he makes fun of all these fat wrestlers. Why can't he look himself in the mirror? Why can't he do that, Ted? Why can't Ben do that? Why can't Ben Hameen look himself in the mirror, Ted? Why is he a hypocrite, Ted?
I'll tell you a secret. Not a lot of people don't know this. Ben Hameen actually does not even own a mirror in his whole house. He literally never looks at himself in the mirror.
Because he knows he will break those mirrors, and he doesn't want to keep spending money on broken mirrors. What he does need to do, spend money on to get proper food, spend money on a personal trainer, and lose weight. Because he's making Stevie Richards fitness brand looks bad. He said how he lost 60 pounds, whatever guess what? He's still fat. He's still a skinny, fat piece of trash. So why are you bragging about losing 60 pounds? Your job's not done. So why is he bragging about it? The guy's half-hearted. The guy's unmotivated. The guy's lazy. The guy's a piece of trash. That's what he is. That's what Ben Hameen is. There's a thing called Maslow, the hierarchy of needs. Ben's hierarchy of needs is donuts, pizzas, being a culture vulture, being a race man, and just being a pretender. That's what Ben Hameen is, and it pisses me off.
I appreciate your truthfulness. If what do you feel someone like Ben Hameen deserves? What do you feel deserves to happen to Ben Hameen?
Very good question, Ted. What deserves to happen to Ben Hameen? First of all, I want an apology from Ben Hameen. I want a personal apology from Ben Hameen. I want him to say, Tyler, I'm sorry I'm sorry for being a culture vulture. I'm sorry for being so fat. I'm going to get myself into shape to prove everyone right. That's what I want. I want an apology. Not only that, I want an apology for all of his fans for spreading misinformation about the coronavirus, about all of these conspiracies, brainwashing people. That's what I want. An apology to myself, to other people. His punishments, I don't know. Maybe take away pizzas and take away donuts for him, because I'd actually help him, because I'm a helpful person. I'm here for the greater good. So his punishment needs to be an apology to everyone and the bans from donut and pizzas.
I like that, because people might be watching this and think that you're really coming across because you're trying to be angry and you're trying to be mad at Ben, but you're really trying to be helpful. You're really trying to be a beacon of light, if you will. Is that true?
I want to help Ben. That's what I really want to do. That fat piece of crap needs my help. He's 40 years old. If he's going to keep being fat, what's his life expectancy going to be? Yep. Being fat is literally, correlates to his life expectancy. Does he want diabetes? Does he want higher blood pressure? Does he want heart disease? I'm sure he doesn't want that. But what does he do? He keeps picking up a knife and forks. Doesn't even use knife and fork. Probably uses his hands and licks his fingers afterwards. But that's what he does. He keeps picking up all of his shit, all of his donuts, and keeps eating. That's what I want. I want him to. I can't even remember your question, Ted.
Well, it's basically saying you're not here just to trash Ben. You're actually trying to be a good person.
I want him to be I want Ben to be the best person he is. But the first thing he needs to do, he needs to buy a mirror. He needs to look himself in the mirror, realize that he's a piece of trash, realize he's a culture vulture, realize how out of shape he is. Then maybe, just maybe, he can become half the man which he needs to be, half the man that he wants to be. Instead, he's a closet homosexual, he's a pedophile, he's a race man, and he needs to change. He needs to change. And Ben, I can be there for him. I can help him out. I can help him, Ted.
I appreciate that, Tyler. And I appreciate you taking your time today. One thing I will tell you about Ben is, assuming I don't get fired, but I probably will, but he never backs down from a challenge. And really, you challenged him to be a man and step up and do the right thing and apologize. If here's the thing, again, he doesn't back down from a challenge. If he accepts, would you be willing to go on and have it and talk to him face to face and tell him how you feel and have him hopefully accept your apology?
First of all, Ben, he would never accept my apology. He would never apologize to anyone. I can't imagine him to do it because he's a. And first of all, Ben is half a man with low testosterone. He makes fun of his generation for being keyboard warriors. I guarantee you, he wouldn't want to talk to me face to face. He doesn't want to do that. I will gladly accept any challenges. I will gladly come on, whatever. If you want to talk to me, I'll gladly speak to him. So I just want to help him. I want to reach out to him. I want him to become the best version of himself. So if he wants to chat to me, if you want to reach out to me, that's great. I'll happily talk to him one-on-one. But personally, he ain't got the testicular fortitude to do that because he's a bitch.
Absolutely. And you're probably right. He probably is going to out and he's going to out of this challenge. But that's just going to prove you right and prove everyone to the world the kind of person Ben Hameen is. So
he's a fraud. That's what he is. He's a fraud and he's a bitch. That's what he is. That's what Ben Hameen is. Ben Hameen, you are a culture vulture. You are a fat piece of crap. You make fun of nice snacks, but she looks better than you. You make fun of Keith Lee, but he looks better than you. You're just a piece of crap. You're a pedo. You're a closet homo, and you'll never face me one-on-one because you're a bitch and you're a keyboard warrior.
So there you have it. Ben Hameen, the challenge has been laid down. Are you going to actually step up and be a man, or are you going to be like we all know you are?
That's what he is. That's what he is, Ted.
Well, thank you, Tyler. I don't want to take too much. I don't want to take too much of your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we conclude here?
What else is there?
Nothing more for me to say. I just got one question for you, Ted.
Please.
What made you see the light? What made you realize that Ben Hameen's a fraud? What made you realize that Ben Hameen's a bitch? What made you realize that Ben Hameen's a and a culture vulture? What made you realize that?
If anything, it's actually because of you. It's because Ben Hameen actually told us, hey, this guy is ragging on me. And again, you were the first person to really get under his skin. And I realized the stuff you were saying had I could tell just by the sound of your voice that you really believed this and you knew this in your heart. And so you had such emotion and such conviction with what you were saying. I felt like this guy knows what's up. Ben's been trying to pull the wool over people's eyes for years. And you're someone that is woke. You're someone that knows what's really happening. And so, if anything, I have to thank you because it was your words that really inspired me to take this leap. And again, I don't know what's going to happen to me after this, but I appreciate you having the courage to speak up and speak your truth, because I think someone had to say it.
That's great, Ted. I'm so glad I can reach you. And if I can reach to you, I know I can reach to other people in the fan base. I know I can reach to everyone, to your fans, to Ben Amin's fans, like Culture Vulture, to make sure that all of them realize that he's a fraud. I'm so glad I could do that, Ted. And I'm really happy about that, Ted. Thank you very much for your time, Ted. Thank you very much for the opportunity to get spin, to make sure that everyone can hear this, to make sure that it reaches to all of the fan base, so they know that I'm on their side. I'm on the fan side. I'm the good guy in this scenario. Ben Amin's the bad guy. Ben Amin's the bad guy. I guarantee this, Ted. If he does have a shirt which says Culture Vulture, that'll be his highest selling shirt. I know for a fact.
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much for this opportunity, Ted. I hope you have a great day, a great evening, and a great afternoon.
You have a great evening, Tyler, and I hope to have the opportunity to talk to you again soon, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Everybody's fired. Everybody's fired. The Monday locker room's canceled. And prowrestlingtees.com/Ben Hameen.